You are now entering Maximum Driftcast, the only drifting podcast hosted by a Spanish soccer mom, a 30-year-old silver-haired fox going on 60, and finally, a 200-pound bowl of spaghetti with chimichanga arms.
The champions, we are the champions.
Oh, hey, it's Tuesday, my dudes, I guess. Hey, funny with the joke.
Oh,
That's actually,
dude,
so
that
we
is
start up
so-
our
Starting with a zinger.
So good, Sam.
we start up the halftime show with that, except we said instead of Tuesday, I said Saturday.
They get it.
That was today.
You change the days to
So
make
what's
it
nice
work with
about-
the day that it is.
What's nice about that saying is that you can change it for the day.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's about it. So
You-
that was fun. Fun note, as I've explained to a couple people. So I took a public speaking class in college. I've done stand-up comedy once or twice. I've been in front of large audiences.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the fact that when over our cans on that's what they call them in the biz, cans. Those are your headphones for those that have never put cans on their ears.
Yep.
Right over the cans from Jeff, the live stream producer director. He's like, all right, 30 seconds to live show. And then I immediately thought I was going to fucking pass out. Like my head started spinning and my vision narrowed. And I was like, oh, cool. That'll be fun if the show starts up and immediately I faint. So thankfully that didn't happen because right when I said it's Saturday, my dudes, I'm like, all right, cool. We're here. I know how to do this. We got this.
Well, when Jeff asked,
Boy, oh boy.
yeah, when Jeff asked if we had cans on our head, I was gonna whip my cans out and wipe them on your head.
The meal cans.
You've got some good looking cans. Too.
Thanks.
That's what I like
yeah, I've
about
been
you.
I've been developing them for you, Sam, for the past year and a half, I'd say.
Right.
I've been working on the cam game.
Right now,
So-
I think I'm wearing cat food cans actually, like canned
Oh,
cat
God,
food.
Paco. They're just, what are those things?
It's my transition to finally, the first stage of my transition to the furry fandom.
First stage. I feel like this is closer to the final stage, Paco.
No.
You've been-
No. This is just me openly admitting it.
What?
All right.
I'm a kitty
Well,
cat.
Well, I've been calling you furry for years now, so it's not like
No,
it's a
just
secret.
Just kidding. I borrowed these
Just
headphones.
kidding.
Just kidding. There you go.
Hey.
It's Perco Ibarra.
Oh.
Prr.
Hey, Perko, I like that.
Yeah.
So full disclosure, this show is going to be just us boys getting down, getting dirty, but we have so much to talk about with the Formula Drift Long Beach round. Double full disclosure, we have been really working on a difficult guest to get. We've been talking to him and his quote-unquote handlers in the past, and I mean no disrespect by that term. It's just he's a hard guy to get out in public, but maybe sooner or later, maybe next week we'll see if we can get this very mysterious person onto our show. But right now, it actually works out for the better because we never talk to each other. We're always just yelling at other people. We're going to talk about drifting with just the three of us and Big Balls as well for the entire damn episode. And boy, do we have a lot to discuss.
a lot to talk about? I mean, dude,
So
even Big Balls even brought he brought his notes.
He did?
He
Oh,
brought a
God.
notepad.
Yeah,
I'm looking at Big
took
Balls
notes.
opening a notepad right now.
He's got like
What
It looks
happened
like
was I was actually at Long Beach with you guys.
It
but
looks like Lisa Frankfeld has a bunch of neon unicorns and dolphins on it.
I don't have my notes, but I actually have Ryan Lontaine's notes from Formula Drift Texas 2 years ago in front of me. They're just sitting right in front of me. So
Well,
I
these
guess
are
I can
actually
read those.
Ryan Lontaine's notes that I have here. I was in Long Beach and I ninja'd my way up to the judge's stand when he wasn't
Very
looking and took them. So I have the full script with me.
Was that you who was kicking the railing for the camera for the halftime show the whole time?
Yep, that was me as a distraction. See, it worked.
Can we talk about that just for a second?
Sure, yeah. Let's start with the halftime show before we get into the event. Halftime show, Corey, who was kicking the stand that had the camera? Some of you might have thought, like, hey, there's a lot of wind for this halftime show.
So, yeah. So, basically, as you guys didn't know, we were actually in the announcer stand where Jared Dean and Ryan Sage sit for the whole event and where they do their announcing from. So, basically, what we do is when we go up in there, if you flip that sign around, guess what? That's the halftime show sign. So, we go up there. We flip it around. We're using the same equipment.
Don't tell the whole trick.
Well,
you know,
we gotta let the
magic.
No, this show's about trade secrets.
Yeah, this
all
is
right?
no secrets here. We're gonna share the wealth here.
Behind the scenes.
So we're actually using the same setup, the same front-facing camera. Obviously, it was too close, so they had to move it back another railing. So
Mostly because of Corey's width. girth.
Yeah.
whatever you wanna call
Well,
it.
actually, my leg kept touching Sam's leg, and Sam started freaking out about
Oh
it.
yeah, I started slapping him in the leg and rubbing up his inner thigh, just like Corey, get out of here, and I stroked his inner thigh.
Stop, Sam! You're pinching my thyroid. So, anyways, we had to move the camera back so we can all fit in frame, and so it's where Jared sits up here, and then there's another spot right in front of us. It's kind of staggered like this. That's where the spotters sit, right? Well, sure enough, as we start the show, a gentleman by the name of Bill Baldwin,
Oh,
Santa
also
Claus,
known as Drift Santa.
the dude who used to stand against the wall with the big white beard, Cal Club member, he decides to sit down in the front row, and he's actually hitting his foot off the railing. Like, I don't know if he's like
He was
headbanging
just
or what.
bumping to a nice jam or something. He was really enjoying our speech, and he was just tapping his foot to the rhythm of my voice. And I was talking like this, and Corey was talking like that.
Hey,
And Bill
and
was
then
just
the top of
boom,
his foot.
boom, boom,
being
boom.
the bass
and he
drum.
was just- yeah.
And
so thanks for the bass, Bill. We appreciate that.
So-
Definitely added to the show.
Yeah, Bill dropped the bass, and that's what was causing the camera to shake nonstop. And then Chris, luckily from AEM, saw Bill down there kicking the railing, which was wiggling the camera. And he's like, hey, should we send somebody down there to have Bill stop? So finally, halfway through the show, we were able to have Bill stop tapping on it. But that was the one major hiccup.
The only other major hiccup was completely 100% my fault, which thankfully the live team was on. So we do a commercial break to thank our sponsors that thankfully helped us put on the show, and it was supposed to happen at right about the 10-minute mark. So over our ears, at 9 minutes and 30 seconds, the production hub says, "All right, 30 seconds till commercial." And I was in the middle of finishing a thought or something, and all I heard was "go to commercial." So I was like, "All right, yeah." So I really think that was a good. All right, going to commercial, and then and then they cut to commercial, and then the Jeff was like, "Okay, guess we're going to commercial." So I blew that, but next time
It was close enough, though.
Yeah, it was close enough, but
Well,
other than that, it was pretty.
Yeah.
I think we did pretty well. Other than the people on YouTube live comments saying that I dyed my beard. Come on, guys.
Come on.
Look at this.
it looked. Oh, look at that. That's your white patch.
Nice gray goat, Sam. That's what we call
Thanks,
a gray goat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still have like some black holding off in the middle here, of course, but bottom's gray. Obviously, the top is gray. I have like one gray chest hair that keeps growing in. I pluck it out at hopes that it won't join the pack, but we'll see.
And by the way, I mean, like this halftime show, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't because of.
Yeah, so we literally wouldn't have had a halftime show.
All right.
It was brought on the table by AEM and our buddies at AEM Intakes. So AEM Intakes is the main reason the halftime show exists. And then we still needed extra funding to actually pay for our plane tickets and our travel and
especially for Corey's oversized bed.
earplugs for Corey and I for Paco's snores and
Corey
all
snores
that stuff
snores
costs
too.
money.
So,
Yes,
hey, I need some suggestions real quick as you guys.
Hold
are
on, real quick. We got to say the earplugs are sponsored by Nexen Tire.
Paco wants
Without
free
them, we couldn't get earplugs. And then, of course, Motegi Racing is the other sponsor on there who is helping us make it to all the rounds. So if you guys want to support those brands, we would greatly appreciate it because they are supporting us and getting us to every round for this halftime show.
Yep. So you were saying, Corey?
All right, this is important too.
Uh-oh.
All right. So as you guys know, my car. I'm just getting updates on my car right now. The guys are at the shop working on it. I got a Instagram message from Zach from Under Pressure Development, the guy who's doing all the fab work for the manifold stuff, and he sent me a message. I paused it because I wanted you guys to play it. I want to play it for you guys, and you tell me if
Is your
we
car
should.
actually alive?
They're making the downpipe right now, but Zach has a really important question, and I'm gonna leave it up to you guys if we do this or not. But here, let me see if I can aim it towards the camera and if you guys can hear it.
Alright, so Josh had this fucking idea. I'm gonna run it by you before I do it. I've done. It's pretty flossy, bro.
That's pretty.
Is it cool if I draw a dick, like TIG weld a dick on it up here?
Yeah, do it.
Alright, so Josh
Yep.
had this fucking
That's
Yeah, I was
Oh,
thinking, go ahead.
that's the type of communication we get.
That's very
I would
cool.
also write.
That's-
I would also write "fuck you, Kevin Wells" on there to see what happens.
So
See if he
when-
catches it.
that'll be the ultimate test.
so
Like,
if
see
you
how
guys-
I'm not saying
thoroughly.
we don't like Kevin Wells. I just feel like Kevin Wells, who does the tech overview for all the FT cards and sets the rules. It'd be a nice little treat for him if he doesn't listen to this episode to see that on your looks like a wastegate bung.
So it looks like yes, we are going to be doing that. So
Great.
thanks
Good news.
for the
Very
quick
good.
response, guys. Sorry, I know
So
that was,
it's gonna be a very high quality fab.
it's going to be titanium.
yeah,
It's going to be a
That titanium
nice
dick.
titanium ding dong.
yeah,
But yeah, thanks for you guys for being a part of that. See, I want to make you guys as much
yeah.
involved in this
And the-
project
the-
as
the-
I
the
am.
dick choice.
So this is crucial. Now that you guys are going to be a piece.
Yeah. Did you
of this
specify
thing.
the girth and
Paco, no. This is you leave it up to them. You leave it totally up to them.
Okay. Well,
To put the halftime show to rest, we think that we're really happy with how it went. Live stream dudes kicked ass for it, and I think we did a pretty good job. The only thing I would say that we could do better is if we had a little more time. We talked about getting a few more minutes, but we'll see. The live stream guys got to get lunch and all that, so we don't want to take up too much of their time. But we just wish we had a few more minutes to talk about stuff. But otherwise, yeah, let us know any serious comments you have. If you want to see us do something different or better, let us know. And if you have dumb shit to say as well, that's fine. We like hearing that. We always say it too. So either way, we're super #blessed. Felt terrible to say
blessed.
that. I didn't want to say that. We're just really happy we can do that, and we'll see you guys again in that standing in Orlando. But we have a lot to discuss for Long Beach, man.
That was quite an event.
So first of all, before we even get into it, this is my first year not as media for Von Gittin Jr. since I started doing that 3 years ago, and I remember being at Long Beach 2017 last year, and I was excited about Jimmy D, the human hot dog, coming in there. I knew that he was going to be good. I knew that he was going to make some waves, but shooting on video in the same spots, doing the same things I've done every year, I don't want to say it's getting old, but it had kind of lost some fire. Like I was less pumped as I've been in previous years. It was kind of becoming routine, and thankfully this year with the new role as our halftime stuff, and I had a couple extra weird jobs. I was doing some shooting for Toyota and for Ozba specifically, so that was fun. But aside from that, like it felt new and different and refreshing for some reason. I don't know why. It was like a whole new world for me, and I feel like there was this old spark that was kind of lit up again, and I'm super excited about.
I kind of heard that with Lorette doing some interviews during Media Day. Like the overall energy felt like it was really different or really new. Long
Yeah,
Beach
I heard
this
people
time.
bitching about the energy, saying like it felt weird and down, but for me it was the opposite. Like I am more pumped about drifting than I have ever been, and I don't mean that just to sound like pro drifting and all that, but after spending 5 years in the series, 3 years on Vaughn's team, which I loved, don't get me wrong, but it's like I was worried this year was just going to keep on having that like lack of excitement, kind of not lack, but excitement dwindling. But this brought it back up. Like I am fully torqued for this 2018 season. James Dean, as much as I love the guy and as much as I respect the skill, didn't win the event, and he very well could have if he didn't have car problems. Peter Wiecek, because I said his name wrong. That's one thing we can do on the halftime show. I definitely said names wrong. Peter Wiecek, Vincek. Yeah, he could have very easily won, but Osmo just barely bested him. But it was an incredible incredible event. Yeah.
Where
do we even start?
We have a suggestion right here in the chat how to make the halftime show better. This is from username Andy Luck.
Oh no.
Okay.
Yep. So he's suggesting that we should make a big backdrop that says F Corey.
Or he also said, or get one that says deport Paco.
Yep.
So
Andy, like I don't see that. I don't see that in the chat. How am I missing?
yeah.
This?
It's on the Facebook chat.
Oh, there it is.
So either way, I'm totally fine with that.
Yep.
I am totally cool with that.
I'm all for it.
If you want to
And,
deport Paco, it's fine. He can Skype in. It's all good.
Yeah.
Thanks for the suggestion, Mr. Luck.
Yeah. So I guess we're obviously going to talk about Federico's fire, but let's get there in a chronological-ish order. As a huge discussion, and we'll probably take up the majority of the show anyways. But let's talk about some other stuff first. So the first run of the event, if we're not counting Media Day, was
Qualifying?
Forrest. Yeah, Forrest.
Yep.
Fuck you, Andy Luck. I don't even know who Sam is. All right. I didn't mean that, Andy Luck. God, I'm afraid of Andy Luck. Anyways, Forrest Wang, 93-point run, starting up qualifying. There's always been this idea that the judges are super biased at the beginning of qualifying because they know that like the bad guys come first.
Yeah.
Granted, they know not bad by any means, but you know what I mean. The
Which
less
I mean,
good.
the only reason why Forrest was the very first driver to come up is just because since he took a year off last year, he was unranked, so that's why he went first. So he's pretty much like the newest driver in the series, including the Pro 2 guys who moved up. But I
right
think,
out of the gate, 93 points.
yeah, it's like
First
straight
run,
up.
first run of the FD season, a damn near perfect run.
Yeah.
I think the only things he was lacking were the same things that that the Wardhouse guys were lacking, which is that they're using outer zone 1 as more of a touch and go, which I only recently had the difference fully clarified for me by the judges. Is if you have a touch and go is just that you are just more or less tapping your bumper against the wall very, very slightly and leaving the outer zone, whereas an actual outer zone you're filling. So outer zone 1, which is the bill wall, the wall that is on the outer right side of the track that you come out of.
The one where Matt Field destroyed his Pac-Man a
Where
few
on
years
where
ago.
Pac-Man's been destroyed and where many drivers hit too hard and go into the tire wall there. That is outer zone 1, and that you need to stay and fill and remain in for a amount of time. And I think the guys that were losing points in qualifying with the nearly perfect runs, like the Wardhouse guys, were just not getting full points because they showed up late and stayed in that zone
Yep.
for not the amount of time the judges were looking for.
hmm And then after Forest qualifying, then we got to see all the newcomers, and I was surprised. Like a lot of the guys were doing pretty good. Like we saw Austin Meeks, we saw Matt Van Kirk. These guys were going all out. I mean, I think Austin Meeks left half his car on the track.
Yeah, I mean the Pro 2 guys coming to Pro 1 did outstanding, and unfortunately, in all their battles, as expected, they placed in the bottom half of the top 16 bracket. I would be very surprised if they did much higher than that. And they all drove very well, but they got matched up against the notorious drivers, and there wasn't really any unpredictable battles there. They all kind of lost to their more experienced drivers, but I think almost all of them put up a hell of a fight.
Yeah,
which was-
and again, it goes back to how Formula Drift was last year, where we all knew that every driver is at some point very capable of taking on the most experienced drivers. It's just that I think Long Beach, it's definitely, and it's no pun intended, but it's a trial by fire way of initiating the season where it's the first of the only round I think where you have like these kind of like blind entries. You messed up, you screwed your entire car. So being the first round, I'm sure there is a lot of stress for some of the newcomers, and also for some of the people with new cars, because we even saw Matt Field spinning on qualifying right after the touch and go on his first qualifying runs.
Which we've joked on the show that he's not the most humble, but he's also the first to say that he doesn't lie when he says he's not comfortable in his car. So he was happy.
Yep.
Not happy to say but he was truthfully saying that when I talked to him before qualifying started on Friday, I asked him how he's doing. And he's like, well, I like the car a lot, but I am definitely not comfortable with it yet, which is totally understandable. He had a few testing days. What was he at Willow Balcony? I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is a nice open area, but by no means is it a good representation of Long Beach.
Yeah.
and the
But at the
mixed surface.
But at the same time, that gives a little bit of advantage to newcomer drivers. When some of the seasoned drivers are kind of like not giving it 100% either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But, I mean, like you mentioned a second ago, and we've mentioned often whenever we get around this Long Beach time of year, it's insane that kind of racing 101 is you look at the exit of your corner, not in the middle of the corner, not where you're initiating. You want to look at the exit. You can't. That corner one at Long Beach, you initiate without seeing your exit, which is insane.
Yeah, dude. When I watch, like, if you see the onboard replays, replays, the onboard replays,
Ripless?
the replays. Believe it or not, it definitely. I don't know. Like, I mean, when I try to really get into the driver's point of view, even I get chills. Like, it's just scary. Like, I'm just throwing my car into something that I can't even see.
Yeah.
It's like a maze.
Yeah.
You don't know where you're going. You just hoping you're doing the best.
Yep.
I feel like this is one of the tracks that I imagine running. I'm anti-sim only because I'm really bad at racing sims for some reason, because I drive not because of natural talent, but because I have this basic feel for how a car feels and can usually link a course because of it. But
Yep.
I feel like a sim would really help for Long
Yep.
Beach because there's so many sims out there that you can easily race or just drift this.
That's-
portion of
That's
the-
actually Matt Van Kirk's forte. He's got I saw Fanatec stickers on his car, at least when he was in Pro 2. I can't remember if it was on this last weekend, but he comes from a sim racing background as well. And,
he brings his simulator to the pits. Yeah, with him.
Yeah, so he's definitely got to talk to about a little bit more of that transition.
Yeah, I'm sure it must help just with a little bit of the confidence, but,
Yep.
but yeah, more. But as the original point was stating, is that these newcomers to the sport were extremely impressive. Like I couldn't be more impressed with
Yeah.
all the pros.
Corey, you drove Long Beach before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I was just thinking about the sim stuff actually, and I've never driven a sim before. Brian might have a better idea for me on this, but in like Long Beach, for example,
Yeah.
or any racetrack that you drive in a simulator, how do you feel the difference in road conditions, like surface changes? Like, do you feel that in a simulator?
Yeah, you depending on the sim, the sim program that you're using, whether it's LFS or even Gran Turismo, Forza, depending. They have
how
they'll
realistic
show-
is it?
it's-
That's the other thing.
See, that's the
That's what I
thing.
need to figure
It's
out.
hard for me to give an accurate opinion on that because I've never driven a car on any of these courses that are existing in the game, the real life courses that they're simulating. But as in for understanding that road field difference and learning it for what the game is created for the different grip levels on the surface, you have to learn to adapt to that. So I mean, in the sense of adaptability to driving, then yes, you can pick up some skills from that and understand that. But nothing will ever really train you better for real life than actual seat time. But the sim does give the advantage in understanding the course layout, maybe getting an idea of like the speed to acceleration, or just overall being comfortable with what you're going to be running into moving throughout the course. And even practicing tandem on sims is very beneficial as well.
Yeah, because I think the one thing, Long Beach especially, I think one thing that's constantly
Say
changing.
especially.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
the one thing that's changing is the surface condition from each year. Obviously, the only event that they run on it is the Long Beach Grand Prix and Formula Drift. So other than that, it turns into a parking lot. So that's the other thing too, is you may go sim it, but then the surface condition may be no grip on media day, maybe a little bit more grip going and through qualifying.
Yeah.
But it's one of the tracks that continually keep changing throughout the entire weekend. When you go to like a Road Atlanta or Jersey or any of these other tracks, they're constantly being used very regularly.
Yeah.
So the surface conditions are going to be the same. So even though you do drive it on the sim, I don't think it gives you the real feel of the level of grip that you'd be able to produce from a track that's been a parking lot. And the thing is, you also got to remember too, is you have grandma and grandpa pulling up into the streets of Long Beach, which is the parking lot, and they're pissing coolant and oil, and they're
With a
overheating.
87 Buick.
And then what they do is they put K-rails around that, and the first time laps hit is when FD comes out there. So that's what I think simulators can't really 100% simulate, especially for the streets of Long Beach.
Those are real life scenarios that you can't have accurate representation.
But as
of
far
in
as
the sim
closure
world,
rates and maybe some visual references and things like that, that may be what the big advantage
dimensions
is
of the course, definitely.
I think that's the most important part. Exactly, like just learning the track, because for example, I drove Road Atlanta plenty of times on Gran Turismo, Forza. It's I don't know. I just know it. I know the whole track. And last year, while we were at Grid Life, I wasn't driving, but I was in the passenger seat on one of the donut Mercedes, the
camera car.
the camera cars, and I knew exactly what was coming.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just like a different feel of like I've been in cars. Dude, I've been at Firebird as a passenger. And a track that I've never been, it's scary as hell. Like not knowing exactly what's coming, when's the braking happening. It feels a lot different. So even just as a passenger, it's a big difference.
I totally get it for
memorizing the
course
track, I'm
layout,
sure.
but there is still a lot of variables that aren't necessarily put into it because the level of speed is based on the level of grip that you're able to produce, right?
Well, but that's where it comes to how good you have your sim set up as drifting.
That's the thing. Bottom line, when it comes to sim to real, it's all about how close your mind can make it real. I mean, you don't have to have VR. You don't have to have the craziest simulator program. You just got to be able to allow yourself to be immersed in what you're experiencing. And if you're able to do that and maybe set specific challenges for yourself, like even though the game allows you to hit something and you can still drive on as if damage never happened. In your own mind, you still want to prepare yourself to avoid that kind of incident from ever actually letting it happen. So you're mentally preparing yourself for the realism of what the real world challenges would be if you were to do that. So you have to be able to train yourself to be able to adapt, like to be able to learn a course correctly, not just go out there balls out until you finally stop bouncing off walls and you think you got the course
Yeah,
down.
you're never gonna get like from the sim
Yeah.
and jump into a car and nail it. I mean,
No.
it's not gonna happen. 100%.
Not without the right mindset, and that's where the difference is. Because you can set up damage on certain simulators, that's true, but to be able to have the right habits and understanding what you're setting yourself up as a challenge and playing the sim, that's where you actually get something from it. If you just go in there trying to just think you're popping in a quarter to just slam the gas pedal everywhere, you're going to get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
And then people say, oh, this is a horrible sim, but they never really actually gave it that challenge to themselves to really master it, to take it seriously. And that's where I think a lot of misunderstanding happens with taking what you learn from sim to real life.
But unfortunately for me, and I game a lot, not driving games often, mind you, but I can't feel the G's in a simulator, and I can't react properly as like a driver.
That being
Until-
said, Sam, it's by no means your performance on a simulator is by not at all a measurement of your true ability behind the wheel. It's just it can work for some people and it doesn't work for others.
just have to kind of like
Right,
try
and
to
and
numb
just-
yourself a little bit.
But just to make sure, we are talking about The Sims 4, right?
The Sims. We're talking about Sims.
Yeah,
by the
Sims,
way. So
yeah.
we've been talking about
Okay.
the Sims, and you might think we're talking about like Forza,
No.
Assetto Corsa, or Project Cars.
yeah,
No,
there's,
we're talking
there's
about
a new
Sims
mod
4.
for the Sims where you can do drugs.
We're talking about
Like
the
any
beach
car.
beach party pack.
Yeah.
You got to download all the micro DLCs
Yep.
from
Yep.
EA.
Yeah,
Look,
you- if you don't take care of your pets, they're going to die.
Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
real.
They'll really die.
That
So,
makes sense.
I'm
So
all
it
about the
does feel real.
microtransactions. That's my shit.
yeah, loot
sure, I
boxes,
love
man.
paying for
Loot
money
boxes.
for like outfits. $15 for a new miniskirt and a doghouse. I'm in, guys. Let's do it.
So
Before we move forward, though, real quick, going back into our halftime show discussion, one thing that I forgot to mention that I know that we can improve on
Yes.
is being more us and more Maximum Driftcasty. But so here's the issue though that I was explaining to someone else at somewhere the other day. I don't remember. I think at the Pike after the event, which is that it's easy for us to turn down the bukkake jokes and the pigeon jokes. It's hard to bring it back to like so it's easy to turn down from 9 to 2. It's harder to be at like 5. So if we
That
can
is
kind of
a-
screw around still, and I think if we can maintain a little more of our presence that we have on this show and a little bit more of the silliness that we do here, without going full
It's risky.
Ryan Sage. Not to say that Ryan Sage isn't awesome, but our goal isn't to be Ryan Sage. We want to be us.
Well, do you know what we should do is we should have Ryan or Jim in the booth just like off camera. So when we
Looking at
tell
us.
a bad joke, we look over and they can give us like a
They can give us a thumbs up or like
Yeah.
Gladiator style.
Yeah, like a okay. We
They can
made
see
it.
where things are going,
Yeah.
and they're like, nope,
Yeah.
nope,
Yeah.
stop
No,
that.
I think if we can
it
screw
just
around a
starts
little
off
more, I
with
think
Sam.
everyone.
Welcome to Maximum Driftcast. I had sex with a pigeon. And
Oh,
here with Sam
no.
and Paco.
Yeah.
And
Cut to commercials. Commercials.
I think that should be a big goal for us in the next show.
No,
is
I
to,
think well. So
maintain some of that.
so I
but-
had some Sam. I had some conversations about this. Oh, I had some conversations about this too because I was like, man, why did this one seem a little like rushed? Why did it seem like we couldn't get all the information out? And what I thought of, and what was discussed was, dude, we had to talk about the new drivers, the new cars.
Yeah,
the
next round will
cores.
be much.
So now that we got all that stuff, all that major chunk of information out of the way, now
Yeah.
that frees up 10 minutes of 20 minutes to actually talk about
Right.
dad jokes,
Hentai.
content, hentai, play the
Well,
bass
no
flute.
hentai.
We were
You
actually
can't-
thinking about doing the bass flute intro, actually,
Bass
live.
flute intro for sure.
But yeah, so that was the big problem is that it wasn't a problem, but it was one of those things that caused us to have to rush because there was so much to discuss in the first 10 minutes that right after that we had to rush into a commercial break, cue of Sam, and then pick it back up again. But everybody that we talked to from the live stream guys and FD, they were just like, hey, for the first one, let's get out of the way. But now we kind of know our boundaries, boys. We kind of know how far we can and can't go. So obviously going back to what Sam said, I think next one is going to be just that much better for sure.
Yep.
And so what do you? We're gonna have to address pigeon jokes at some point. So hanging out with Josh Robinson at the Pike afterwards, and
Lit.
he told me that he was on a date the other night and riding presumably back to someone's house in a Uber, and he said that he told a pigeon joke to his friend in the car. And he said that if you could have had like a live judging thing like they used to have in FD with like the the
graph.
knobs you turn, like
Uh-huh.
who's doing well and who's doing poorly. It's like he was doing very well, like increasing, like, all right, we're doing very well this run. Then all of a sudden, pigeon joke.
Troop.
Like, he flatlined.
Off the charts.
Yeah, apparently go figure. People are not.
We can say-
can I bring up the fact that Josh Robinson is a girlfriend stealer?
Well, tell me about it. He told me he was going to give my girlfriend an Australian kiss.
Yeah, he told my girlfriend that. He told Osbo's girlfriend that. He told
He told me that.
He told Paco. He tried stealing Paco away.
right.
But yeah, Josh Robinson is a girlfriend stealer. and
So
I'm
he's
okay
out.
with that.
Josh Robinson,
Yeah.
no longer a good friend of the show. You've now been demoted to satisfactory friend of the show. You better get your act together, Josh.
Can you, hey Paco, as Josh Robinson's sweet Australian accent, can you tell the difference between American kiss and French kiss? Let's tell our listeners.
French kiss and Australian kiss.
There you go. Go for it. So as Josh Robinson, ask as if you're.
I'll
speaking to
be the girlfriend.
Yep. So you're asking Sam, the girlfriend of Brian.
Hey, Sam.
That's not Australian. Get Australian. More Australian.
So, Mike,
There you go.
you know what the difference between French kiss and Australian kiss, Mike?
I love your 7 foot tall, strong body, but go on.
French kiss in the mouth. Australian kiss down under.
Oh. And so Josh used that on every female in the bar and ended up leaving with all of them at the same time.
Get us on fire.
So
But
we don't hang out with him
I gotta say,
anymore.
his delivery was better than mine.
No,
I
just
figured
thought-
out though
I thought he was here.
if I get on Paco's shoulders, like chicken fight style,
Yeah.
then him and I can see eye to eye. Corey can drag him down with Corey's girth from the back.
Well, Brian will
Then
get
three of us.
no. Brian will get on my shoulders, and then you guys will see brown eye to
Yeah.
brown eye.
Right.
But then also you need to be wearing a new one of the new blue media vests.
Oh,
They were like
one
Let's go with
size,
those.
one
So the blue
size
media
fits
vest.
all.
This is the first time in 5 years I've seen new media vests. I don't know how long it's been before that, but the old yellow, like loose fitting, like cardigan style that you can just
Yeah.
swing over your shoulders. Those are gone. Now it's an actual like jersey you got to pop on over. Let's just say that like I have a medium build and they're very tight on me. So for all of our well-endowed photographers out there and videographers, it's not flattering. Like I forget which well-statured person said it in the media pit, but they're like, yeah, if I could just get 4 of these and sew them together, I'd be pumped.
or can I just like wear it in my head like a
Turn it into a
bandana?
parachute.
So I like the move with the new media vest. That's cool. But some of my peers.
It's funny
not.
as you say that, Sam. Kyle's in here's like, poor Kyle Cross. So for you guys, Kyle Cross was our photographer this weekend at Long Beach. Who did
Yeah, let's thank a photographer. So the new
amazing
dude-
job, by the way. So you guys, hopefully, you were able to notice our Instagram. We're trying something new this year with our content creators, and Kyle Cross was definitely one of our new
And,
content creators.
And Lino Peña, who's been
Lino
doing it
Peña.
a couple years already. So they were feeding us like straight, fresh off the oven photos from Ground Zero.
So this is our new contributor program, and we hope to have you guys sign up for every round because it's not like we're asking for free shit. You know, it helps us to have photos, but at the same time, we can just steal them from someone else.
But the other
we
thing
want
too,
we want you guys to get out there because that's how I got out there the first year, and that's how we got here. Is that I had to have someone sponsor me to get out there to start shooting media, and that's kind of the role that we want to have for you guys. So granted, we want fresh photos for every round, but more importantly, we want you guys to have a chance to get to the rounds. We want you guys to be able to learn to be the next Larry Chen, to learn to be the next Kyle Cross and Lino Pena at this point because those guys are killing it.
Yep.
So,
yeah, it was. We were actually looking at other media outlets live at the event. We were putting out more live content than anybody else that day. So that's the whole advantage of the whole media creator program that we started. But also, it's giving you guys a more in touch feel for you guys that can't be at every single event. You know, these guys go out there and they shoot, load it on their computer, send it to us. We download the videos or the photos and then upload them through the social to give you guys a more in-depth feel as far as being at the track if you can't.
And who else was shooting for us, Paco? I'm sorry. We
Excuse
got
me?
Kyle, we had Lino, we had others shooting.
Oh
for us
well,
out there.
we also have a few contributions by James Singleton from Six Shooter Media, which, by the way, I mean, here comes another pitch. We used a lot of their photos are right now available on this beautiful article that Lorette Nichols wrote
Yeah.
down. It's on our website. You get to see photos from all Kyle Cross, James Singleton, and Lino Pena. And it's pretty much an article that she wrote about Federico. She went and talked to him, got some words, and it's a very emotional article. Spoiler alert.
That's the goal, and we're coming up with the title for the article, which is the idea that it's the Ferrari and the fire. And the fire is not so much about, it could be on the base level about the fire that happened to the Ferrari, but it's also about the fire, the enfuego en corazón of our buddy Fede is what he wants to go by. No one calls him Federico. He told us in his friend circle. It's always Fede, so we call him Fede at this point, which we'll get to in one moment. We're of course going to talk about that, but Lorette wrote a wonderful article about that, and she's going to be hopefully writing post-event articles for us whenever she has time. But yeah, check it out. There's photos. It looks like a very well put together article with complimentary photos, completely just organized and made possible by people that contributed to Maximum Driftcast. So we appreciate all you guys that have been doing what you can to make drift journalism alive and well in the world. Yep.
And kind of going back to the media vest, Jim Law is not happy that we're criticizing.
I know.
His,
he's like,
media
what
vest.
do you say about Sam? He's like, Sam, you're talking about media vests. Yeah. All right.
And he's also saying that they've been using fluorescent yellow for a few seasons. Red doesn't really work.
Well, the blue is nice because it's not as jarring, because it's very jarring when you're sitting in the stands and watching live stream to see these bright yellow specks out there, which is, I know it's kind of the point, is so drivers can see and emergency staff can see these yellow vests. And of course, that way Andy Luck can see this yellow vest that's doing something wrong, and he can go over there and spank them.
Yeah, but I think that they were Asian size, like they were like Asian extra large. They probably bought it at Wish.
They probably bought it on Wish.
They bought it on Wish.
Paco, what did you buy on Wish?
All kinds of stuff, Sam.
Like what, Paco?
Like fake GoPros.
Did Brian get a soundboard? Where are we hearing these animal noises?
I think Brian is transforming as well.
What is called a soundboard?
We have a cat soundboard.
Yeah.
Just get mad about that.
Not bad.
All right.
Technology's nice.
Sorry.
All right,
Go ahead.
to move on with the event, qualifying was special in that the Wardhouse guys. I have been saying this. I really hope I'm not wrong. That I forget. Did the Wardhouse guys all get 96s each time?
Yes.
Yeah. All
so they
four.
Both Dean and Vicek got 96s every run, which is insane.
Now,
but Peter got the higher end because when the scores are the same, what is it? Style points.
Yeah, style points decides the winner if they have the same score. But it was 95, 96 for Piotr.
Okay.
First pass 95.
Okay, so actually he won 95. Okay.
So I said it. I did say it wrong, so that is a correction from the halftime show. 95, 96. Then what did Dean get?
96, 96.
He's such
Even
a
though Dean
robot.
got 2 higher runs, he had 1 point higher. Peter still got the win because the highest scorer still had more style points.
Apparently.
Yeah, which he was very deserving of. Peter
Yeah.
drove better than he's ever driven and has proven that he is as good as his counterpart James, which is worrying because, I told Freddie when I was doing some work with him that he needs to represent America now in this fight against the Irish and the Polish here. And Freddie said he would do everything he could, and he also told me, fuck Norway.
Yeah. He did say he is American-blooded in the grandstands when me and Paco.
He loves country. He loves line dancing.
Yep, he's a
Loves
two-stepper.
Shit kickers.
Yep, he wears cowboy boots, Wranglers, and cowboy hats.
He drinks Coors Light.
And also, so Freddie won the event, and this is also the first time that I've more or less shot only Freddie and Toyota stuff, but primary Freddie. So I don't want to say like it was because I was shooting him, but you put it together. He's done a bunch of events. He's never won. And then suddenly I get on his team for an event and he wins. Like, I don't know. Just say what you will.
Did you work on the car at all, Sam?
Yeah, so I swapped out that motor right before
Real
qualifying.
fast.
I know that by no means do I want to discount the hard work that Papadaka Mama Kisses puts in, but those guys are still swapping multiple motors in an event. Castro, unfortunately, couldn't compete because of a motor failure to the best of our knowledge. It could be something else, but from what I understand, it was a motor failure. Osbo changed the motor right before qualifying. Like, there was obvious multiple motor failures, which sucks. I know they can swap motors now in like a half an hour-ish or less. I don't even know. But it's insane. But still, they're blowing motors like crazy.
Yeah, because I was talking to Castro when he came up to the spotter stands, and he was saying that if they just had one battle them one more time, he would have had
Yeah.
enough time to.
If they had 10 more minutes, he said.
Yeah,
they
10
would
more
have done
minutes
it.
would have been done. So it's like if you're getting to a point where you're the 6th group running or the 7th group running and you break right before competition, that's 5-10. That's probably 35 to 45 minutes to put engine in, roughly, is what it seems like they're doing it at.
You know, you
I
mentioned
hope Papa tells us when we talk to him next Saturday night, Brian, is that I know that there's some weak point in these motors, and these motors were never designed to make 800 to 1,000 horsepower. But, God, I really wonder what it is, and if we're going to be seeing this all season again with these motor roulettes.
Well,
And it's
in
hopefully
all fairness, I don't think no engine ever was designed to make 1,000 horsepower.
certain ones are designed from the factory to do that, maybe, but these ones were not, and I don't know.
you
It's a
know,
bummer seeing that.
going back to Castro, like saying he just needed that little bit more time. Was it possible for him to call a 5-minute timeout, maybe to give him that window when it was his time to go up to the line?
He had already called it, I believe.
Probably
He did?
yeah.
I couldn't remember. Okay, I just wondered.
Yeah. So the only way you get extra time beyond 5 minutes is
Collision.
Let's say the show allows it, or if someone else collided into you, and is as a result, I think you get 10 minutes more then, if it's not your fault.
Yeah.
But still, it's definitely an issue.
Yeah.
If someone hits you and completely ruins your car, you still only have 15 minutes combined, I believe.
Which we saw with Chelsea.
Correct.
Right.
He took his 10 minutes to fix his car and came back with half a car.
Well, you want to get into it? It's about time.
You guys
We
want to
talk
get
about
into
Fede?
it?
All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let us do a disclaimer before we talk about Fede, the Ferrari, and the fire. All we have is information that we gained either from Fede, from our own eyes and ears,
Yeah.
from what we've heard from Form of the Drift or anyone else. None of it is 100% guaranteed. None of it is legally binding, so to say. Like, we are literally just talking to the best of our knowledges here. What happened?
Well,
Go.
can I start?
Yeah,
ahead
go
and
for it. I
go
feel
ahead.
like you, Paco, you're
Yeah.
in deeper than almost anyone. What do you know,
I guess.
man?
Well, so it's first of all, it seems like Federico initiated a little too late, which caused him to slam into Chelsea's on his follow run. So
Yeah,
Chelsea
this is, I forget,
initiated
is this top 32 or 16?
top 32.
32 against Chelsea.
Very
coming up,
last race of top 32.
Chelsea is leading. Chelsea initiates. Fede kind of comes in tight and makes impact.
So
with
I'll tell you
Chelsea.
this. This is also what he said. So Chelsea initiated at the right spot.
Ryan Sage just joined right now. Perfect
Yeah,
time, Ryan.
perfect time.
Not like we weren't talking about
Uh,
other stuff for the past half an hour.
And then Fede initiates noticeably later.
Mm-hmm.
But he says what caught him off guard was he said Chelsea went for another e-brake pull.
Yeah.
He said he did a pull to initiate and then a pull to correct and wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
That's what Fede said.
Which funny thing is, like, if you see a lot of the Formula Drift onboard cameras, a lot of them pull the e-brake many times during that initiation. And if I'm not mistaken, that area there's actually a deceleration zone.
Well,
So-
there's a couple of reasons why. You
Yeah.
may see a couple fast pumps of the e-brake, and that's so they don't do one long e-brake to flat spot the tires. It's a multiple pump. But if you do a one pump to initiate, you release back on power, then grab
Yeah.
again, that would be an
Yeah.
additional time. But
So I mean, indeed, I mean, he definitely did it most likely, and I guess it's normal because from what I noticed on Federico's practice, he's more of the Japanese style of drifting. It's like a little bit more faint, like maybe a little bit of e-brake, and that's it. You know, like
I also want to say, up until this point, I listened to Fede on the podcast that unfortunately I couldn't be on previously. I had met him for the first time at the event. Super authentic, super nice person. But then I was still concerned about how he's going to drive this gigantic Fiorella Ferrari
Yeah.
around the track. And he was driving surprisingly beyond my expectations
yeah.
for all of his practice runs. He was hitting his outside points for the most
so to
part.
give you an idea,
was
he
doing
scored
very
81.
well.
He scored 81 in qualifying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
he scored
at Long
81.
Beach.
on
That's-
his
So that
first
gives you an
attempt
idea
at-
on how well he was driving this
Yeah.
course. Don't get me wrong. That run, too, he told us that he only had about 8 to 10 laps underneath his belt
Yeah.
before he did that 81 run. So the dude is definitely gifted. He's definitely talented. He's a good
Yeah.
driver. And obviously, if you guys do some research outside of here, you'll see the dude's talented. And it's
Yeah.
Uh,
not to mention for a lot of the people who's listening that has no idea, this guy's been drifting for a lot longer than many of the drivers that are like. I mean, talk about drifting professionally for a lot of he's been drifting for a lot longer than many of the drivers who are in Pro 2 right now. I mean, he's been doing this for quite some time. He's not like just some guy who showed up with money and
he
has a
didn't buy
car.
this car.
Yeah, exactly.
He
And he's
built
not the
this
owner
car.
of the car. Yes.
Yeah.
He's-
I'm not just saying like he bought like a prepped drift car for the most part. He spent time and effort.
And this was a Daigo.
Of course,
built
money
car.
was involved,
Once
but
again,
I mean,
this
there
is a Daigo built car to some degree. This was the car that Daigo was originally planning on building, and I'm sure that we've mentioned this.
Oh, that's
in
right.
some other segments that this was a chassis that was in Daigo Saito's shop that he was going to build from competition. Federico's team reached out to Daigo to see if they wanted to release the car, sell the car, and that's how they were able to get it. But it was originally Daigo's, so there was some, good hands and some expert
Right.
knowledge going
It
into
had
the
been-
build. It wasn't just some dude who said, I'm going to go race a Ferrari.
Yeah.
There was some significance to this car prior to
It
him
had some
purchasing it.
prepping, but my point was just that it's not like he just bought a car and went to go drive it.
Oh, yeah.
He had put many of his own hours, many of his own time. This incident, this fire, made it to the top of Reddit and the top of other just car places that have never really that drifting posts rarely get
Yeah.
traction or anything from the drift. So this made the rounds. Let's say
He
this fire.
he didn't try to pull a Nick Hogan.
All right,
know.
so before we get too off track, back to the incident.
Yeah.
So he
I want
makes
to mention
collision
real
with
quick.
Chelsea.
I want to
Go
mention
ahead.
real quick that in that first initiation to Long Beach, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there some kind of like grip level change or the change of the tarmac going from one type of tarmac and when the street and it changes into like the
What's
parking lot side?
a tarmac?
Or I'm sorry, pavement.
Okay.
I'm trying to think
I
in
don't
that
know,
particular
Corey, what do you
spot. I
think?
don't think in that particular spot. I think it's a little bit earlier. Or no, it's actually on the horseshoes where you actually
Is
get
that is the
asphalt
horseshoe?
change.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was in the initiation where you could kind of see a line kind of split where the pavement is laid, but maybe I'm just seeing something else. So if anybody wants to correct me on that.
So going back to the actual incident itself, so Paco was mentioning that Chelsea initiates first, Fede is in chase. Fede initiates late and makes contact with Chelsea. That causes Chelsea to correct, straighten up, puts him right into the tire wall. Fede
Which
actually,
thank God for the tires, by the way. Chelsea's car was mostly undamaged, and Chelsea was mostly undamaged, but he hit that wall fast and hard, and without 5, 6, 7 stack, however many tires that was, Chelsea didn't even have neck pain from what I understand on Sunday. So good job for having that there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So going back to Fede completing that lap, he actually goes around. He doesn't. He doesn't call a 5-minute timeout or anything like that. What he thought it was just a big enough graze to knock out his alignment. So he told us he was actually driving around. He said there was a light angle in his steering wheel, like it just affected the toe. And he's like, you know what? He went through the pits. He drove around, swerving back and forth. He's like, you know what? This is no big deal. I've
can
driven plenty of
compensate.
time with either a bent tie rod or something with the alignment a little bit out of whack. Well, we've all done that before in some sort of competition. Even if you hit a red and white curbing hard enough, that can knock your alignment out a little bit. And you don't think that there's anything major. And especially at this point where it's like, do you know what? I don't want to burn my 5-minute yet. I want to use that later on in case I need it.
This is also his first Formula Drift competition
And it's
round
his first-
ever.
His first
So there's
Long
that-
Beach.
There's that excitement. There's that intensity. And before we get beyond this, I've heard criticism against him, and I'm sure no one would be even considering this if it wasn't for the incident that happened moments after this. But I've heard someone criticizing for him like revving at the crowd as he drove back. It's like, yeah, he did kind of punt Chelsea into the wall. Yes, it was his fault for what we could garner. I mean, we could call the e-brake on Chelsea, but from all appearances, it looked like it was his fault that he punted Chelsea.
Yeah. But I
Uh,
mean, he's still just
and-
trying to put a show.
But he was still pumping up the crowd. Knowing Fede's personality, I don't think he was like, yeah, punted Chelsea, let's rev our engine for the crowd. He was being a showman. I think it's fine to be a showman still, even after you made a mistake. I imagine there was a thumbs up. I think Chelsea even said, if I recall, that there was a thumbs up at the start line, like, hey, man, you cool? We cool. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, dude, Chelsea, I mean, he's a master of not giving a damn. So-
not giving a heck.
You
I
know?
don't give a freaking heck.
Yeah, so Chelsea would have done the same, and he will just come back and like, yeah, let's just jam, like, you gotta give Chelsea that, like, he probably most likely understand that it was a mistake, and at the end of the day, it was gonna be a mistake on Chelsea's favor.
So let's get to the round. They start up. What happens?
so they-
you got that Paco and Corey. You guys have the deepest cuts on the info.
So yeah, so now it's Federico's time to lead. Chelsea's on chase. Federico start. Everything's perfectly, fine. He tries to do his little feint movement, and as soon as he he tries to just move like just change pretty much anything on the way the car puts weight on the front, the suspension snapped, and the wheel, I mean the part
The
that got
knuckle
damaged,
broke.
and
He
the,
said
yeah,
the knuckle broke.
and the wheel pulled all the way back and hit a protection plate.
Yeah. So let's talk about that real quick,
Yeah.
okay? Before we go any further. So he, like I said, he drove around the track, shook the car down, figured it was a slight alignment issue, which is no big deal, which we've all driven with at some point or another. So he didn't think it was
Alright, it's properly
necessary.
aligned. So yeah, it's like
So-
you deal with.
Yeah, so it's easy to deal with, and it's common. Light contact, even if you rub somebody in a close tandem, you may get a little bit of a alignment issue, which is, once again, it's a common deal. But, so he pulls up, Paco says, initiates takeoff. As soon as he went to change direction or initiate going in to turn 1, that's when he saw the car literally snap straight, and then you see the front left tire kind of fall on its face. Paco,
So the snapping straight was due to a steering knuckle that now may have had a hairline fracture that now totally fractured. Is our best account, right?
So yeah, so definitely weakened either like a ball joint or something that caused that particular area to break and collapse. So now the other thing too is the car did pass tech. Everybody's like, well, the car did pass tech, did not pass tech. I think obviously the car did pass tech. And the way that the fuel system was ran on this car is it was actually tucked. And if you look at the Ferrari without the front end, they have like where the strut tower is, and then it's kind of tucked up to the top side of almost where the firewall is. They originally went through tech, and there was a carbon cover over the fuel pressure regulator. And Kevin mentioned, hey, that's not enough protection. We maybe should add some more protection to that particular piece of the car, just in case whatever happened. So they actually went back and added another layer of protection over the carbon box that they had on that. So now they have a piece of either bent steel or aluminum over the carbon to protect that other area. Keep in mind, this was a piece that they didn't think obviously would ever a wheel would have no reason to go that far up in there unless it was once again the perfect scenario where some crazy deal happened, which obviously
I digress with that because that is the reason why cars have the wheel intrusion bars. Because it's kind of like known that wheels go into that.
But the way it
place.
was located, and I'm just telling you, FD Tech and Kevin approved it.
Yeah.
That's why they added the other barrier there.
It just
but
seemed
yes,
like very
but
odd.
it was
Yeah.
up higher than what it was typically was. Okay.
Yeah.
It
Not
was
to jump
up.
ahead, but these are rules that had existed at the time of Long Beach 2018, and I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah.
Maybe not before next round, but very soon, because it might involve some drastically revised cars. There will be a new rule regarding this incident.
Well, I'm
So,
sure they're gonna move that fuel line somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
Go on.
anyways.
So the knuckle breaks, the car goes forward. Then what do we see, boys?
So then what you see is it actually damages both plates and pushes it into actually what broke in the regulator is when they transport the car, they added another fitting out of the regulator that
To siphon fuel
the
out.
fuel out for transport, right? So the thing is even when you ship the car over here, it puts it in the trailer, they dump all the fuel out. So they use an additional adapter onto that wasn't factory with the actual regulator. So that is actually what broke was the additional piece that was added to the regulator. All the other lines, the fittings, the factory regulator piece was all still
They were
intact.
safe, yeah.
So it was actually the additional adapter that they added on to drain the fuel, which snapped, which caused the
Fuel
fuel
to spray everywhere.
to spray everywhere and obviously ignite.
Caught on
So they
fire with
follow-
the header.
Brian, can you play any footage of this thing while we're talking about it?
It'll be hard to find it, honestly. Like, 'cause it's on the.
Daniel Velasco from the chat says play the stream from YouTube. Like, what do you mean hard to find it?
Yeah,
This
it's
is all
everywhere.
over
You
the
can go to
internet. It's
Instagram. You
everywhere.
can go anywhere. You can go to
Oh,
Chris Ford.
let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
I bet if you Google Ferrari fire, it'll be the top link. But
This-
But yeah, it's so this tire or this knuckle, something hits this fitting on the fuel pressure regulator, starts spraying fuel. Do we know what caused the spark yet?
It was probably just hit off either the header or the
Just general
brakes.
heat.
It was just the.
Most likely the header. I mean, it's
It
fire
could have been
hot.
a couple different things that
I mean,
went in there,
as
but
I've learned when I nearly burned down Forsberg's house during Drift Garage 4, it only takes an amount of heat. It doesn't even take an open flame, but fuel will burn. The vapors and fuel will burn with just enough heat,
Oh,
so it doesn't take much.
Oh, and Federer.
Sounds like Brian has found something.
Yeah, I'm working on it, just making sure
He's
the
working
sound is
on
under
it.
control.
So he drives his car off of the track, knowing that something is wrong with his car. Chelsea continues the course, so this is still a hot track, mind you. I think
Yeah.
that's one thing that people must consider when they consider, like, oh God, why wasn't there track staff running over to him immediately?
There's
not
a
like the
Mustang
fire started
coming at
immediately,
you. So.
I got it
But
ready.
you also don't run across a hot track.
Well, that's the
So-
other thing too that everybody needs to remember too is, if there's a car still competing on track or still driving, the safety cannot pull on course until the car that is still driving to be removed or parked off course. So there's a couple variables why it took a little bit longer. Now, yes, positioning of that fire truck could have made a difference, and but once again, it's one of those things where, especially in Long Beach, the most typical issues that we've seen in Long Beach is the later on portion of the course, if it's the middle horseshoe section or near the end. So that's why there was, from my understanding, position over there, because that's where the most common incidents were at that point. So obviously that would make a little bit of sense. But
So the car then catches fire. Fede thankfully did not angle his car in such a way that he was unable to get out. So that's the one thing we're most thankful for here is the fact that he was not wedged against the door. He was able to get out safely. Fede gets out of his car. He is safe. However, his car is on fire. And the most criticism you see online is from the first initial track safety person that gets there. Why aren't they taking more action? And from what I understand, that person was a
I have Brian with a replay.
yeah. But from what I understand, that person was a flagger and didn't have fire safety equipment. That begs the question, like maybe that flagger needs fire safety equipment in the future. But again, I am not versed in track safety layout or procedure. I don't know.
Now here's a very interesting thing. Federico's car was very close to a wall, so his door was barely open.
Yeah, so he's
You
barely
know,
able to get out.
fortunately,
and
he's like very very limber, very skinny person, and he managed to jump out of the car. But that seems kind of scary. Like some other drivers might not be able to just like jump out
he
of
got
that.
out quickly, thankfully. I imagine most drivers
well,
get
once
new
again,
speed.
being that close to the wall is unintentional. The car wouldn't
Of
turn
course.
or steer. So it's just one of those things that, yeah, you would have to be able to
Yeah,
exit passenger or driver
exactly.
side.
Where I was going is just that. Like, I mean, it's very good for drivers to train a lot of your egress, but also train to egress the car on the passenger side, because you never know when you're gonna have a car latching on your door or a wall or something like that, or even upside down. So I think it's very important that. Fortunately, like, I mean, Federico, I talked to him briefly. He said he's been on fire before. Nothing as big as this.
Well, I don't think Formula Drift as a whole has
Been
seen
a
a fire
fire
like
like
this. And
I think the
for
biggest fire we've seen, like it was
Brandon Whitnick in Florida actually was a fire when he crashed in the tire wall and
Or-
the fuel cell actually ruptured. That was the only thing that I saw, but it wasn't nearly
Yeah.
the size of this.
Ryan Cato's car a long time ago. Also, like the car,
That
his
was just a quick
carbureted.
flame
It was like a
over
big
the top. Yeah,
flame.
it was like almost a
But
big
yeah,
backfire.
nothing like this.
Yeah.
And Dan somewhere in the chat said something that a lot of other people said on the random internet post is, did he go back in and grab his phone or his sunglasses?
Yeah,
Like,
that's-
no,
that's-
he told us that he went back in to make sure that, one, the fire suppression was pulled, and two, to make sure the fuel pump
Yeah,
was
that's
shut
Danger
down.
Dan. Danger Dan knows a little bit, a few things about danger things,
Yeah.
and fires
But,
inside the shop.
From what I believe he told us, he said he went back in there to make sure that
Well,
the car was
and-
no longer pumping.
Right, and that's what he's saying is, and even looking at it, the fire was not going out fairly quickly. And so he wanted to go back in and double check that he had the fuel pump and ignition off so it wasn't spraying any fuel. And that fire was actually engulfed with the fuel pump already off. So it already sprayed so much fuel that was actually burning underneath there. So he just went in there and double checked that all systems were off and no longer just dumping fuel onto the flame.
Yeah, because there seemed like there's fire even on the other side of the concrete wall.
Yeah, it dripped down.
Yeah.
So since we can have this argument in a friendly area because the driver is safe, thankfully, the biggest problems that people say are the response time to the scene in general and the response time to getting the car not on fire anymore, for putting out the fire in the car. I mean,
I think response time was fine. I mean, if you think about it, it was like a little bit over 35 seconds, considering that Chelsea was still on track.
yeah, and
think-
that's the thing that needs to be
yeah.
considered. I think it was still a hot track. The fire was very surprising for
Yeah.
most people.
And so
who saw it.
here's some other let's have a discussion about this just real quick. So, like I said, the fire truck was positioned near the end of the track, which traditionally that's where a lot of the issues were. So yes, it would make sense to have that over there. But realistically, that car couldn't, the fire truck couldn't move until all cars cleared course. Now, obviously it can look at this as if it was a stream of water. Obviously, if the water is flowing down, it's going to be pretty difficult to get up. But if you're going with the flow of traffic, right? If the fire truck was stationed in the burnout box or behind the grid, as soon as they take off, it would be a clear track that they can to lead over to that. And I'm trying to think of other ways. Obviously, everybody's thinking of ways now. And the thing about this and safety as a whole is in some scenarios you learn from experience. And that's kind of been the tradition of motorsports is you learn and you adapt as the sport continues to change. Obviously, the sport's never seen anything like this, and that was probably a big learning curve, not just for the driver, but for the series as a whole. And I know they do the best that they can to adapt to every scenario. Once again, we can go back to talking Matt Powers, where Taka breaks his leg, and that's where intrusion bars come into play. Hans devices. You look at who was it in the FDRX7 that crashed in Irwindale Wall, broke Guthrie, Jim Guthrie crashed RX7.
Safety as a result, as you're saying, Corey, is by and large reactionary, and because it is difficult to predict.
And once again, all safety equipment develops over time as well. So I think there's so many variables that play into this thing that.
Which also another thing people is not taking in account. The safety people, they're there to save lives. They're not necessarily there to save cars. Their number one commitment is to make sure that the driver is out of the car and he is fine. After that, unfortunately, there's not that much they can do. The idea is obviously to kill the fire just so it doesn't spread.
Right.
But it's not the fire crew's fault.
But to be clear, we're not being apologetic for Formula Drift. We're not being apologetic for the safety crew. We're simply just trying to analyze.
Yeah.
It's a conversation.
I don't doubt that there will be a very strong analysis of the situation, and I don't doubt that things will be positioned different next year, and even for the Grand Prix next weekend.
Yeah.
There will be reactions to this, absolutely. Yeah. And again, we're not representing anyone but ourselves here, just trying to have a discussion.
It's just an opinion. I personally think there has to be more fire extinguishers on the corner, so you don't have to wait for the fire truck.
Yeah.
But again, that's just opinion. Maybe there was.
Well, the other thing too is I tried doing a little bit of reading on some safety stuff from Cal Club, SCCA, NASA, and things like that. And from my understanding, and I can be wrong, but this is just from what I was understanding. There's different positions in the safety world, or as a flagman or whatever. And in that particular person, from my understanding, was a flagman, not a safety official. Even though a flagman, yes, is a safety official, but he's there to manage flags. He's there to throw caution to indicate that there's an incident. He's not technically somebody there that is supposed to fight fire.
His trained responsibility was.
Right. And so the thing is, in some scenarios, that if you don't have anybody that is familiar with managing a fire, sometimes that could be unbeneficial to some degree, even though, yes, it's just a matter of picking up a fire extinguisher and using it, but it's still having a trained professional versus somebody that's like, hey, if I just shoot it here, it might go out. So I think there's different levels of a safety. There's a flagman, a fire safety, and then XXX. The list can go on. But that's kind of what my understanding was from what I was reading, which, again, that's just what I was seeing, that was a flagman, not a fire official, nothing like that that's able to combat that.
And granted, we're not trained track safety professionals. We're not there to see through this, but I know that all three of us and anyone that sat next to us in the stands, we saw Fede go off, we saw Chelsea continue the run, and then we all looked down.
Oh yeah,
I know, because I know for a fact that we all looked down, and then we all heard Jared say whatever he said. It's like, we have a fire or something like that, and then we all immediately looked up. So we'd all kind of considered this run a wash. We'd all kind of consider this done. I imagine the fire safety professionals and the track safety workers didn't immediately just wash it all. They were kind of keeping an eye out. But keep in mind that the reaction time we're speaking about.
Well, here's one thing that a lot of people didn't see, and Ryan Sage commenting on the comments. He says that one thing you can see is once he hit the wall, you can see fuel coming from under the car. Then Federico opens the door and sits there for a moment, and
so
then
he wasn't even aware.
It still wasn't on fire. Then it sparks, and that's when he gets out of the car, which is about the time the stream cut back to the incident. So it's not like the car caught on fire immediately after it went off camera. It still took a little time.
People had already started to let their guards
Yeah.
down, which I do believe that anytime it's a stalled car on the track, the
Yeah.
crew still rushes over, which much to our annoyance as fans and spectators, like, all right, this is just a stalled car. The driver's fine, but they still have to rush out
Yeah.
the truck. They still have to rush out the workers, and now the whole show is delayed for minutes because they still rush out regardless.
Yeah. And this is a
many
reason.
times.
This is a reason actually why the car and most of the drivetrain is salvageable. You know, like
Right.
it's mostly wiring and some plastics that got damaged. You know.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to get to next if we wrap up the
Okay.
incident.
And the
I
other
think-
thing too is I believe, and once again I believe, and maybe Ryan or Jim or some of the FD representatives in here that can back me up on this, but I believe the fire safety and the team that was supplied for this event was supplied by Long Beach Grand Prix, or it wasn't.
It's not
it
Formula
wasn't,
Drift.
It wasn't
It's-
Formula Drift supplying the safety for this
Yeah, no,
particular
it is
round.
a track.
So it's the track and the I'm trying to find the right word. It was the Grand Prix that was supplying this.
Yeah.
So
Who I believe are the same people who do all the safety for stadium trucks. What's it? The other race that they do in
it's just the Long Beach Grand Prix
Yeah,
as a whole. The Grand
everything.
Prix as a whole. So that wasn't supplied through FD, but once
I
again,
heard that actually Jim and Ryan handpick each individual.
yeah,
They have like a very rigorous boot camp.
yeah. But I heard
every
Andy
single
Luck
person.
picked that guy in that corner particularly. I don't know why, but
Andy Luck has a sleepover party with every single track fire safety worker out there. So you better know for a fact that guy had slept on Andy Luck's couch, had a pillow fight, popcorn fight, you name it.
yep.
Yeah.
So to kind of wrap up this conversation, I believe that we will see changes within
Yep.
the series.
Yeah.
I think this brought to light some potential flaws in a few things that were never an issue before, and maybe 99.9% of the time down the road, it may maybe never be a flaw. But once
Yeah,
again,
it may never
it's-
be an issue again, but there will, I imagine, be some sort of reaction.
You know,
As there should be.
there's going to be drifting next weekend there too. And that's something
Sure
to
will.
see
yeah,
if
Motegi Super Drift will
yeah.
be there.
So see if some changes are happening.
So I think to kind of continue that thought, I think we will see some changes. I don't know if it's going to be with the actual different rules in teching or new fire suppression rules throughout the course. If it's extinguishers or getting
Yeah.
different trained officials in certain areas.
And Ryan is
Um,
confirming that all the safety is provided by third party.
License group.
yeah.
So it's not provided through Formula
It's-
Drift.
yeah.
So, I think this was obviously, I don't want to say it had to be the perfect scenario to cause this incident. You know what
This
I'm
is-
saying?
it's
If
like-
one
I mean,
of the
the question-
thing, if one of the
the-
variables would have changed during this incident, we wouldn't have what we had
Yeah.
last
This
week.
this is one of those cases. It's a perfect storm.
right.
You know, it's just like things could happen where like a lot of things get together. So I don't think it's as bad as people are making it. Like it's not like Federico's injured. He's fine. The car it got damaged, but it's salvageable. And he's positive.
So we should. Okay. So Sam,
Let's
do you
talk about
want
the salvage in a second,
Yes.
but first let's wrap up just the incident of the fire itself. I am not a well-versed track safety official, so I cannot say. I feel like a lot of internet people that are experts in racing or so proclaim to be say that reaction time could have been better and response time could have been better. I don't know if it could have been. I mean, it does seem like it burns for a long time, but at the same time, I know that it was a weird, sudden fire that burst quickly and rapidly and angrily, and you could say that there was a
It was
you could say there's a lackadaisical response from the crew once they arrived and they weren't putting out the fire fast enough. Again, I don't know if that's something that we can easily critique, because again, one thing that I fucking hate and what I always try to be on the show is fair and understanding of the people that are doing their jobs to the best of their abilities. I don't know. Were they slow? But I think that
I'll say this. I will say that however the scenario played out will open eyes for other potential scenarios to be potentially faster. Once again, safety in race cars is something that is always being developed to become more efficient and better.
and it's reactionary. by
And
large by
reactionary.
events
So
like
now
this.
with a scenario like this that happens, now there's going to be, I'm sure, some scenarios that will change to prevent some similar scenario from like this happening. So it's ever evolving. I think we'll see something probably before next round, but we'll have, and also more information will come out. I know there was some like mild investigation going on with the whole thing as well. So as soon as we get more information from that, obviously shredded. But outside of that, I think just one of those things, man. It's in motorsports. We're doing crazy things, the crazy
Every
cars.
driver knows the risk when they go out there, and every driver hates to see their pride and joy burn. But what's most important, and we're happy about in the situation, is that Federico got out of the car unharmed. And now he has, of course, a lot of work ahead of him to fix his car. So we went over to him right after the event happened. You guys saw the car damage. He came up to us in the tower. We watched a replay of the footage in the tower with Fede for the first time that he saw it. He saw the footage for the first time sitting next to us. We were just talking to him because we had actually planned to have spaghetti dinner with him. And that's like an ongoing joke in this podcast is the reoccurring spaghetti theme. But before this entire incident, he had to show what kind of a character he is. Every pet has a mom, or most pets have a pet mom, and that's some person that cooks, that cleans, that does everything to help. He had invited us unprovoked to have a fresh spaghetti dinner at his
The actual
pit,
real Italian spaghetti.
Yeah, so that was the plan before this incident happened, and unfortunately we had to put that on hold to Orlando, but to show what kind of character he is. But then he came to the tower and he watched this clip for the first time. He had not seen it, and we all had to kind of go over there and put our arm around him real quick because can only imagine the fear of reliving this for the first time. But we were there for it, man. It was rough on him, and Lorette wrote in her beautiful article that she wrote for as a contributor to the Maximum Driftcast media machine. She wrote about her interactions with Fede afterwards, and this is this dude's life. He's spent so many hours on this car, and he is going to do everything he can to get this car back in action. And as we're talking about the damage, it's by no means easy, by no means straightforward, but there is a route to repair, and that's I think replacing all the wiring, that's disassembling the motor, replacing gaskets. You guys that are car fabricators know better than I.
He said
weakened by this.
First. Well, so from what he said, from the initial response after looking at what he saw, that was obviously all the engine harness is going to be replaced, which he's already working with one of the best Ferrari shops in California right now, getting that built already. Other than that, it's all the major fuel lines, returns, hoses, all that stuff's going to be replaced. They're obviously going to go through, compression test the motor, change all the belts. He thinks, and obviously he already put the new bodywork on it.
That was ready.
It doesn't look like there's much going on, but he says it's going to be in Orlando. So if you can only imagine.
You replace all the rubber, you replace all the wires. I mean, metallurgy side is the body weakened by having fire on it for 30 seconds, 40 seconds.
And you know what's pretty cool?
I mean,
sorry, Sam.
You guys know better than I. Is by having that driver side strut tower on fire for that amount of time, does that weaken the metal at all? I don't even know.
The what was that? Sorry.
Is the metal compromised?
No. Everything's fine.
The temperature is not that hot.
It wasn't that long. That's the thing. Like, I mean, it was like mostly superficial fire because it was just the fuel burning. Like, it's not that.
Yeah. It was a chemical burning. It wasn't the material burning.
Exactly. There was the fuel burning. It gets bad when stuff starts burning, and that's where it gets bad. But one of the nice things is that for Florida, even Kelsey Rawlings offered Federico to use her car in case they don't manage to put his car back together, which I think that's like super nice, and at least it will help him put points. And it's a nice car. Still, I'm sure it can be still competitive.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
That's all on Lorette's article. Again, go check it out. You have a moment, read a little bit, bring a box of Kleenex tissues.
But one of the reasons why I feel like this round was successful and this round was special, and that there is a incredible outpouring of support for people that we care about in the drift community.
Yeah.
And,
Speaking of support,
he's one of us, and everyone in their power will help him. And there are people that are criticizing, but I think that they're kind of not a part of the core community that makes drifting special. And I imagine that whatever it takes, he will be back. He will be on his feet, and we're going to see him do very well throughout the season.
Speaking of support, what Corey was mentioning that Ferrari was assisting him, I think that's pretty outstanding that Ferrari, being the company that they are, offering to support a drifter. And for for a company that makes supercars, I think that's pretty amazing. That's really interesting.
Yeah, especially after BMW rejecting ESA like a bastard child or something like that.
And Ferrari's like, come on in, we'll take care of you. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Ferrari wants to show dominance, so that's pretty good. But let's move on to top 16. How about that, guys?
And for the rest of that, I mean, I imagine we're going to talk about it again at some point, and it will be a topic throughout the season.
Yeah.
But we are excited to see Fede in some form back out at Orlando or soon after.
Yep.
So we had, well, there's still some top 32 battles I think were somewhat notable. We had, let's see, I'm looking at the bracket right now. Dan Burkett, who I had just said on the, I had planned, we're writing our halftime show, like kind of little pieces or notes that we wanted to discuss. And I wanted to talk about our favorite liveries, favorite cars. Radical Daniel, which I'm happy that Jared has adopted that name wholeheartedly. Radical Daniel's Supra is my favorite looking car out there. The paint is immaculate. The attention to detail is immaculate. Unfortunately, he did a little spinneroo against the wall. I'm sure the car will look flawless again in Orlando, but it was sad to see that beautiful car get ripped up a bit. Kristaps' beautiful carbon Kevlar Eurofighter got a little kiss from the wall as well. So some of my two of the prettiest cars in my book got a little taste of the wall, but they came back just fine. So yeah, the Odie was spinning a lot. You guys notice that? Odie spun more than I ever saw Odie spun. Do we know why he was spinning?
His
so
car
much?
looks so loose. Oh my god, his car looks like it was just set up so loose, and he was just floating the course.
And it looked like his initiation into the first touch and go was always like a hit and miss. Like he was trying something there that I don't know if he just didn't have it quite dialed in, or if he was trying something new.
He's one of the most.
Because he's usually
He's
pretty
one of the
consistent.
most consistent guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was definitely abnormal, and maybe we'll get word from him if it was just simply just not his day, or if it was a setup that he was trying that just didn't work out for him.
And as we mentioned in the halftime show, the top 32 was so mild. By no means not exciting to watch. The battles were all good and clear, but one thing that we realized after the fact, not one more time, which is insane.
Wait, and can I also go back to? I want to go back to one other thing. I was asking a couple of people what do they thought of the 12 practice rule going in before competition.
You asked the drivers?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it didn't affect them this round because they only had 1 day of practice.
Yeah.
And once you qualify, you can do as many practice runs as you want. So it was hard to judge how that 12 run's going to be. A lot of people did 12 runs, no problem, that 1 day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But media day didn't count towards those.
Yeah,
12.
media day didn't count towards that. So I think looking forward, going to Atlanta, we'll see if that, or Florida, if that 12 lap rule is going to play a factor in anything. But we didn't experience here. Now, the other thing, too, about Odie's car being super loose was that him maybe trying to run a similar setup that he's going to be using in competition. Is that one tire rule affecting that?
Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah.
that's
See,
the
that's
thing
why
is
I
I
was
tried
wondering.
judging. That's what I
Yeah.
tried judging this round. I didn't get a full grasp of
So,
the game.
yeah, he could have been maybe a victim of trying to come up with a strategy to be safe, and who knows?
I thought the what do you mean by one tire rule? You mean the one tire in qualifying rule?
Yeah.
I thought that was abolished. Am I crazy?
I don't.
I never heard of it
I didn't
going
hear it getting
away.
abolished.
Yeah.
I believe there was no official announcement, so I'm not sure if they actually did or not.
Oh.
I don't think it was.
Jim, Ryan, dads.
Let's ask the dads, the Formula dads.
come, please. But moving on in the meantime, I think one of the most exciting battles of 32 was Kristaps and Alex. We had the BMWs, which is crazy because that battle was good, but by no means was it like a. We actually had a bit of a turmoil until Fede's car caught fire. We're like trying to think of what was the most notable moment of top 32. It's like the BMW battle was cool, but it was a very. Yeah, so Ryan Sage just responded. Yeah, the one tire rule isn't in the sporting regs. They did redact that rule temporarily, or
it's
forever.
gone.
Oh,
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Also, speaking of cars that got quite damaged, Dirk Stratton and Kevin Lawrence.
Yeah, Kevin Lawrence went in there with his demo car.
Yeah, so I mean, Kevin Lawrence, came out with another Corvette guy, came in super strong.
No, that's Dirk Stratton's a Corvette guy.
Like, what did I say?
You said Kevin. Lawrence.
Sorry, Dirk Stratton, came with his Corvette, which his car is still a street car. Like that car could be easily just put.
He talks about his power windows, right?
Yeah, and stereo, and I mean, I'm sure that engine probably passes emissions if you put a catalytic converter on it.
Yeah.
And anyways, like he pretty much put that car like through every corner, like every corner of the car touch a wall or something, and I think that's just gonna push. It's like a welcome for Dirk. And it's going to push him into going into full race mode, I think. I hope.
I'm super proud of all the Pro 2 dudes that just showed up. They drove unlike any newcomers to series I've seen before. So I don't want to list the names in case I forget one, but I remember every single Pro 2 driver that entered Pro this year. We don't call it Pro 1, we call it Pro, as I was corrected during the event.
Bro,
they drove very well, and of course the battles were all kind of went to the more experienced guys in top 32, but it was still so fun watching Dirk and Vaughn Bowtie versus Oval.
Yeah.
That was cool. Kevin Lawrence, even though he's in a not borrowed car, but a non-FD Pro.
It's still it's very similar to his car. It's still RV powered, right-hand drive, but it was a very nice R32, and
everyone did really well. Which
it's missiled out.
Austin Meeks had a bad crash, but it seemed to have like got his bearings together with the course after that crash, and he was really stepping it up in his battle with Ryan.
If you survive Long Beach and you don't like bow out, you're doing well. And and not to discount guys that have driven Long Beach before. We saw Junkyard Jeff Jones was driving in his new Z better than I've seen him drive in his S14 in a long time, and he's in a new car. So it's
longer
cool
wheelbase.
What's that?
Longer wheelbase.
Yeah, so it's good to see Jeff Jones doing very well.
Looking
he's
clean.
someone that has a lot of heart and has been here for a while, that keeps on going and is kicking ass, and I'm happy to see him out here. Farouk was better than I've ever seen him drive in his BMW. That looks like it was more ready this time than it's ever been, and so I'm pumped to see Farouk doing well out there. And I hope these guys just keep on pushing, because they have a lot of heart and are not their programs are not the easiest to maintain, I imagine. So
did we get confirmation what happened with Dean Kearney, Corey?
He blew up his third engine.
He blew up his third engine.
Yep, the day before.
Jesus.
So it would have. So everyone was almost every episode we were getting questions in the off season like, oh, how many drivers are going to be in the fold this year? How many drivers are going to see? We would have had a proper 32 if it weren't for the two exceptions, which were Dean Kearney and his car, and help me out, I'm having a brain fart.
The first battle of top 32, don't forget, it was Matt Kaufman and Ken Gucci, and Matt Kaufman came out on fire that first battle.
That's where I was going to, because like Matt Kaufman, I mean, after being on the show not too long ago and seemed like he had like a little bit of doubt, he came in and was like, nope, I'm all in.
That was Corey. He told us Corey early on, said that was his pick for the weekend. He had picked Kaufman.
Dude, I low-key picked Kaufman.
Yeah, because Kaufman, he has a new team, so to say, this year. We talked to him just very recently, and he's angry, he's happy, he's pushing, he's on fire this year. I guess he had some incompatibilities with his team in the past, and now he's pumped, and I think we're going to see a lot from him this year. He's gonna keep driving. Going to beat Gucci, who is a madman behind the wheel. So that is something in itself. And he had to face Peter right after that. We checked V6. Oh, can we call him the Candyman? I think Jared calls Peter the Candyman
because he's Willy Wonka.
Yeah, Willy Wonka. Yeah.
So the Candyman, he had to face the Candyman, who minus a small error would have won the entire event, I think. So
Also, Michael Essa. He's driving like championship driving.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's driving really well,
but it was against Dean in top 16 that he showed that. It seemed like he wasn't as aggressive in top 32.
He almost beat Dean.
Yeah, it was in his hands, and he what did he think? He spin or straightened up at the hairpin on his chase run. Or something
that was like a little mistake, but I think Essa.
He looked closer to championship winning Essa than he's ever looked. I still feel like he can get like another few inches closer to the wall, because I feel like his championship winning season he was just a little bit further to the wall. Granted, the cars were so much different back then when he did win a championship, but it's fun to see Essa in the running again, because he hasn't been in the running for a while.
Yeah. I mean, he probably has a photo of his old Camaro in the dashboard of his BMW. Give him inspiration.
It's his old girlfriend. The old Camaro.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to go back to you ever.
It's up in his rearview mirror, so everybody time he looks at it.
No, but good job by Mike. I really think, dude, everybody did so good.
I still got to use that actually points on the board now. There's a points stand, and we have a points leader now. As you guys are talking about this, I'm going through and actually seeing where everybody finished.
But you know what?
How our top 10 is shaping up.
We did a during our halftime show. We did a predictions.
Yeah, we did. So that was part of our thing. It's the
I got 3 out of 4.
I'm going to take predictions for who's going to be on the podium, which we're going to do every round, and we're more or less we're taking the top 32 bracket. We're doing our halftime show right before top 16, and we're saying who we think is going to be in the final four and who's going to make it on the podium, and who was the closest?
Me.
Yeah, me.
Oh, yeah, Paco was at the end. I only missed
Paco.
like 2.
Yeah. So I mean, I really thought we were gonna see a Peter versus James Dean final.
Me too. That's what I thought we were going to see, and we would have if Dean
Yeah.
didn't have a technical issue. And I love how Dean rode out that technical issue. He had, I forget exactly what broke on his car, but that last final clipping point, rather than just like shut his car down, he's like, "Fuck this," and he just floored it. And his car was broken and not turning straight, but he just like floored it until the round
Yeah.
was done. He was like, "I'm not gonna go down crying."
And which sucks is that one of the battles that we all wanted.
I know.
James Dean
so close.
versus Forrest Wang.
Yeah, we're gonna see it. It's inevitable. It's gonna happen.
But this is how crazy it is. Wang went through Vaughn.
Yep.
Then he had this battle against Forsberg, which
Right.
he wanted to revindicate himself. It's like last time we battled. It was kind of like a
caused my
me,
retirement.
you,
Yep.
me, this, that.
But
like
here's the problem I have with that battle, which I know they're gonna face each other again this season. Forsberg's clutch was out.
Stalled his car. Yep.
yeah.
Forsberg couldn't use e-brake, so it wasn't a true battle. And I know I want to see a no holds barred perfect battle.
Yeah.
Forrest won fair and square by all means. And
Yeah.
and when I saw those two going together, I'm like, oh damn it! I really hope there's no
Yeah.
bullshit in this battle. Like I hope there's nothing silly because we
Go really good or really bad.
But here's
Yeah, this could go
the
poorly.
thing. I'm sure.
I'm happy that there was a clean result.
Yeah.
However, it was not a perfect battle in that Forsberg's slave cylinder or master cylinder, I forget what he told me, was leaking or not responsive, and each
But-
time he pulled his handbrake, the car's motor stalled, so he ran those battles without handbrake. So that's kind of a bummer.
But what's important is that, I'm sure Forsberg is not just blaming it on it. He's like, you know
No,
what?
by no
He
means,
sucked.
by no means.
He
Wang
went up to
won fair
Forrest
and
and
square.
explained it to him.
Yeah, he won fair and square, and I'm happy, so happy that Wang
Yeah.
has done very well
But
and come
we-
back in this fashion.
But after that, then the battle that we all wanted to see didn't happen, which I imagine it would have been pretty epic.
Yeah, which again, like I'm not so bummed about it because we are going to see these two together again this season. It's almost guaranteed. Like I would bet almost anything to see that we're
Yeah.
going to see Wang and Dean. These guys are going to be the four dudes that we see in the top here. Peter, Dean, Wang, and Osbo. They're going to be there for most of the season. We're gonna swap out Chris Dops. We're gonna swap out Turk and Forsberg and Vaughn and Hanadel, no doubt, as well as a bunch of other guys. But I feel like we're going to see this combination pretty often throughout the season.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Actually, I forgot to mention. Alec Hanadel was looking like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like last year, it seemed like he had some hiccups. This year, he
Well,
was
not 2 years
looking-
ago. He's much better than that. He's looking like a pro dude. Like he's still one of the youngest drivers in this pack out there.
I believe that Alec did amazing 2 years ago. Like
He did.
extremely good. He even
For a
podium.
rookie,
he did, but
for a
don't
newcomer.
say that he looks like in the past. He's better than he's ever been. It's not like
I'm saying like he didn't look like comparing him with last year. It's not a bad thing. It's a positive thing. I'm saying something good about him.
He's going back in form.
I'm just saying.
What's
I'm
making
just
him
saying.
win.
Yeah, like something happened last year that make him like had a hard year.
That's what makes this year.
it looks
That's what
fine.
makes this year so exciting, though, is that Field's going to be up there soon. He met Hanadel, who is on fire, and Field still hasn't learned his car, but he's going to be up there soon. Kaufman only met Wiechek early on. Wiechek, goddammit, whatever. Candyman. He met him early on, and that's why he was out. Kaufman's a contender. Dye looking better than ever. Pollock looking better than ever. Odie had some hiccups, but we know he's an excellent driver and will be killer. Like there's S isn't better. That's why this year is so exciting again. Like it's insane. Everyone is on point. Forsberg had a very ill-balanced car last year. I've been closer to that build than others because of my role at Race Service, which is now launched. I can talk about more.
Oh, that's
But,
right. Let's talk about that at the end.
Forsberg took a year off. He'd always kind of built his cars hands-on. He took a year off from building his own cars hands-on, and the car was not built to something that he was happy with. And he did it himself this past year. I've seen every endless hour and late night in the garage he did with D. Hugh, the dozer, Dylan. Dylan Hughes, Pro 2 driver, and these guys had spent so much time on this car to balance it the way that they liked. And for him to be taken out in technicality kind of sucks. not technically, excuse me, on a
Mechanical.
mechanical issue kind of sucks. And that's not to say that maybe the battle wouldn't have still gone to Wang in the end if it was perfect driving from both of them. But I know that he's happy in that his car is running in a way that he's proud of. And I'm sure that we'll see him back in this Final Four and at the top again. So the season is just, it's got to be great, guys.
So
I'm very
real
excited.
quick, Sam, I want to go back to the Wang and Dean battle. Kyle Pollard, former Formula Drift driver, now he's a team member for Team Worthhouse. He's an awesome fabricator, definitely probably one of the best crew dudes you can have on your team. He just mentioned that Dean's car broke a rear arm mid-drift. Don't know what caused it, in parentheses.
Yeah.
Causing the half shaft to break, the rear spindle to break, the toe arm, and the coilover all
That whole
to
corner
break.
was destructed.
So
That's why
yeah,
I
off
couldn't
that
keep
one
shit
incident, and it
fired.
was actually kind of funny to watch because you could see where it broke almost around the horseshoe, and he tried to drive the car and limp it
Yeah,
through
yeah,
the rest of
what-
the
weird.
course.
What caused it to break, though?
They don't know.
They don't know. But
So,
it broke.
it broke, and it took out everything. So that's why
Yeah.
we saw Dean get taken out. So I appreciate Kyle.
which I don't
It
know.
was a
How-
bummer to see
Mention
him, not in his full happy form at the end. But like, I know he was super pumped for Peter, and I'm happy that not to discount Dean or his incredible, maybe the best in the world right now driving skill and setup, but I was pumped that Dean didn't win. Like I am happy that we just don't have a total Dean domination yet.
Yeah.
That's not to say we won't see it for the other 7 rounds, but I'm really excited that Dean didn't make this a predictable season. Because
Now-
right off the bat now we have a top 4 that is interesting.
Now, here's the thing. I mean, if you noticed, Dean and Peter, they pretty much came with their cars looking exactly like the last day of Formula Drift last year.
Yeah.
So,
Which is, they did so well that why change much? I know that they mentioned a few changes. I forget exactly what they were, but I mean their cars still look they handle better than anyone I've ever seen. They're more consistently hitting outer zones than anyone I've ever seen. They transition in such a strange way. Like I've tried to ask him, like, it's hard for me to break through the driver on driver bullshit that I do, but it's like I try to ask him in the most honest way, like, how does your car transition the way it does? Like it snaps back and forth in a way that no other car does, and whether they're not telling me or they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but it's like their cars move in a way that is unique strictly to these S15s.
Yeah.
And you don't want to change that,
Maybe they take dancing lessons.
I don't know, man. Like they spin like they are so perfectly balanced, and they transition from side to side so quickly, so aggressively.
I think it's the driver. Honestly, I think it's the driver more than the car.
But they both do it. I mean, I guess
Well,
the driver
but
styles
both
probably
cars are
similar.
very, very like the same. Like they're
Yeah.
just like there's like carbon copies from each other, just mirrored.
It is
Which
the cars, it is the drivers. But
Yeah.
I mean, don't change what ain't broken. And I mean, WeCheck is the Candyman.
I
The
really-
Candyman is as on point to be the
Yeah.
series champion, which is just as insane as anything. Maybe more insane than Dean winning the championship last year is if Peter wins it, because if anything, he's not the one that has as many world accolades as Dean. He's not the one that was expected to come in and dominate. He's kind of like, he came from almost not nowhere, but he's coming from a much different place than Dean came into the series. And he's definitely going to be a huge contender this year.
Another fun fact that I just looked at is there's more non-LS engines in this series this year than previous years. So there's more inline six.
Everything else but
to 4
LSs.
cylinders. There's more.
I think it's more Ford
Options.
engines than Chevy engines this year too. Am I wrong? on that?
I think you're wrong on that, but
Okay.
there's a total
Well-
of 13 V8s total
Okay.
V8s this year, and then the other are V10s, V12s, inline sixes, and 4-cylinder turbos. So
Okay.
you're not seeing this big takeover in LSs. Actually, the top 4 in
Yeah.
points right now is 4 cylinders and inline sixes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy to think about. Looking at the Candyman, Dean, Wang, and Osbo, you've got 3 JZs and a weird 4-cylinder Osbo motor
In
In
the top
the,
4.
Yeah.
in the top there. So let's talk about Osbo and Wang. So Osbo, new Corolla, still very similar to the old Corolla, but we saw him not drive the same way as last year from the start. But then by the end of the event, he was driving.
He was
as
back.
if
It was the same.
Didn't even hiccup. Yeah, it was the same. He's such a
Yeah.
skilled driver that it didn't matter to him. And one thing that we've mentioned before that you got to respect about the car is it doesn't have the overhang of any other car out there because he's the only one in a hatchback. Everyone else has a truck
Yeah.
that can kind of dangle against the wall. When he does a wall drag, his rear wheels are like on the wall.
It's
insane.
a tire drag
yeah.
pretty much.
So the fact that he put this he puts his little tiny tight rear end up against the walls.
The 80s flat
Yeah,
butt.
it's incredible.
Seems like that
And,
those couple extra inches of wheelbase is actually helping because the car looks a lot more fluid, a little less twitchy.
Yeah, it definitely looks more fluid. But the fact that Osmo has been able to go from car to car to car is incredible. And I had the chance we got to the Pike a little bit earlier than other people, and Osmo was there, and we actually had a really good talk for like 20 minutes. And he had said that absolutely his driving time in the ice, and you guys all saw the crazy ass ice videos of him. Josh Robinson was there, and they were just going super
Ape shit.
full angle ape shit on the ice there. He said that has probably helped him the most, and that he said after he won, he texted the dudes that run that thing. He's like, hey, thanks for the free Toyota training camp. Like, that ability to learn that car control there absolutely helped him win this
Gotta
round.
write
So
down
the fact that-
on the bucket list.
yeah.
Go ice
So the
drifting
fact that
with
Osmo
Supras.
consistently is in weird different cars. Granted, again, this year isn't that much different than last year, but the fact that he's still running the way and the competitiveness that he's running just means that he is
Yeah.
easily and will be one of the best in the world for a long time to come.
His battle with Piotr was, I would say, the battle of the day. Their tandem battle in the finals there.
Yeah, it was wild, and Peter's following proximity is
Well, they both
no way to
did.
describe it.
They
Yeah.
seem like to mirror their follow as well as their lead, and like even in transitions, it's like they would be door to door, and the follower would back up just enough so that the bumpers would just barely miss each other. Then they would suck back into their doors. Like they never stayed more than a foot away, pretty much the entire run.
that is a true art, and it's not just getting
Yeah.
on someone's door and staying there. It's the fact to bow back just far enough to allow an inch or two for the lead driver to transition and get right back there. Because if
Yeah.
the first time that any of us have tried to follow someone closely, you realize that, oh God, once this guy transitions, we're both gonna eat shit unless I move back far enough. But to gauge just how far enough back to move to not interfere that lead driver and then suck right
Well,
back in there.
gentlemen, it's official. Mike from Grid Life just invited us to go ice racing with Grid Life next winter.
Oh, cool. Let's do it.
Done. Okay.
Done.
So,
Done and done.
yeah, and back to the final. So,
Let's talk about Forrest's entire journey first of all. So Forrest took a year off, and he left quite awake in his path, which we've all voiced our opinions on, and I have been known as a critic. I don't want to say this.
critic.
I've been a critic. I've
Yeah.
critiqued his exit. I've critiqued the way that it went about. I'm happy to see him back. He's one of the best drivers I've ever seen. His style is definitely something that gets everyone excited. I'm pumped that he scored so high right off the bat, and then immediately came back and proved that he is in top form. So that is awesome.
You can
And
see. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, and I've been looking for who's gonna be someone to stand up to Dean, and he is definitely one of the few that can stand up to Dean. And
Yeah.
that's incredible.
One of the crazy things is like when he left, also Mad Mike left, and they were
Right.
kind of like like the guys with the style, with the show. And last year it felt a little bit like that was lacking, Other than James Dean, which has a lot of nice style, but still is like very robotic in my opinion. Where now that Forrest is
Only
back,
because he's so consistent.
Exactly.
Because
I mean,
you know-
yeah.
Because
Not-
you know he's gonna do.
not boring to
everything.
watch. It's just that he's gonna fill this gap right here.
Yeah,
It's
you
gonna-
know he's gonna be an inch off every wall.
Yeah.
You know he's gonna be an inch off every car. Like
yeah.
And Wang adds a little bit of variable to that.
Yeah,
but
he's Forrest's transitions are more aggressive. They're just like more like "Kupa, kupa," like there's definitely something about his driving that I don't think no other driver does.
Yeah.
And
And as Sage just said in the chat, is that Forrest seems noticeably quicker than
Yes.
before, and that's one thing that we talked about with Nick. Is Nick his crew chief? Is that his
Yes.
official title. So we talked about with Nick, formerly an employee of Formula Drift and formerly doing Southwest Drift. I don't know if he still is, but
yes,
he's a crew chief for Forrest this year, and I forget exactly what he said made Forrest faster, but Forrest had always he threw out extreme angle, but I felt like he'd get kind of dug in and he wouldn't exit a corner
yeah,
with speed, but now he's exiting with speed, so
Yeah.
he is not only throwing down extreme angle, but he has the speed to back it up.
Well, they definitely did something suspension adjustment wise, which is funny because we posted a photo of him on Instagram where he's like three-wheeling a little bit, And even Forrest commented like, no, like that, I don't do that. Like that's apparently in their book that three-wheeling it's not good for what they're looking for. So it's funny because like for something that for us is like, oh, that is so cool. Even Forrest is pulling three wheels. For them, that's not what they want. Even Garrett messaged me like, yeah, no, thanks for pointing out everything that I did wrong in that run.
Which Team Vaughn, RTR, Chelsea and Vaughn, like they do want that. That's their cars are set up, and I feel like I kind of overwrote them, not because I hate them, because they fired me, but because neither of them performed as further than top 16 this round, which is unfortunate. And they both, Chelsea was in my top 4 when we did predictions. I assumed that Chelsea would make it all the way to Dean in the final 4 and just barely maybe lose to Dean or beat Dean, and unfortunately Chelsea did what Chelsea often does, which I talked shit in a friendly manner to him on Sunday when I saw him, is that like, dude, come on, just drive 95%, not 105. Like the second he can master driving 95%, he will be in that top 4 more times than not. And Vaughn is of course always going to be a contender. What happened to Vaughn and Wang? I forget. I know that something.
Vaughn spun.
He's spun.
But he,
so I know
in the most incredible fashion too, because when he was leading, he had an amazing angle coming in through the touch and go into that first zone.
Yeah.
He was looking incredible with his setup. But that being said about their cars, it was noticeable between both Denofa and JR's cars that they were like bopping up and down a lot.
Yeah, it's funny because I've seen a lot of criticism on the comments recently about Vaughn and Chelsea's loosiness of their cars and like the whole three-wheeling thing. Like, I mean, I like it just because it looks cool, but I understand their comment. They're saying, it just doesn't look fluid. It looks a little bit more.
It's more in the follow that you notice it than in the lead.
Like,
I
imagine people following a car that it's kind of like, like low riding.
But
like,
isn't that the beauty of the sport?
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it seems like there's definitely a bit of disagreement on how much a car should be going on 3 wheels versus how much it should be like just slammed and sliding, So I wonder if there's gonna be. We were talking about this earlier, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
If there's gonna be a point where even Formula Drift could say, you know what, that whole 3-wheel action, it might be a little too much. Maybe we have to dial it down.
But I mean, it's not like it's shown to be like a critical advantage, so there's no reason.
But even if it was, I think it's something that they're testing and tuning, and and it's functional in other forms of motorsports.
So far, so good. Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like what I'm talking about is like, what about the fact that it might make it harder for some drivers to follow a car that looks like, oh shit, it's about a spin, maybe not, and that is what I've noticed, that sometimes these cars, they look so loose on the suspension that they seem like they might behave differently.
Yeah, it's more in their follow that I see most of the upset of where the car is kind of
that's
like
probably
raking
why
back
they're
and
making
forth.
the most adjustments to maintain proximity.
Exactly.
Which won't affect the lead car anyways.
They're driving, and the adjustments they're making to follow is more transparent in their cars compared to other drivers' cars. I mean, no other car does what JR's and Denofas do. So their driving inputs and follow, we can see them doing that action just by the motion of the car. Whereas other drivers who are following, you don't really see that as much. This is just an observation. But when they're leading, they're pretty much point and shoot, and they're three-wheeling almost everywhere they go as fast as possible. And they look really smooth doing that. But when the cars pick up like that, and I think Paco was mentioning that maybe it's where the follow car might be seeing the car looking like it's upset enough to spin out, and maybe it will psych out the drivers. I don't know, but that's just an observation.
Yeah.
If the motion of the cars is not something that's affecting them negatively, then it works.
I'll tell you this right now. What it's going to say, those cars put off so much smoke that even in a chase position, it's going to be so difficult to see that amount of movement. I'm sure you'll see a little bit of it, but I think it's going to be the least of your worries going into a plume of smoke that you can barely see 10 feet in front of you. And you even talk to some drivers where they do the 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi count because they can't see. It's all based off of timing. Yeah. So what is a movement from a car in front of me? If I'm worried about that, then I probably shouldn't be there anyway.
Yeah,
so.
it's probably nothing. It's just simply a
But
thought.
once again, the what they're implementing is very a very common setup, which is used in dirt track racing and sprint car racing,
Right.
and late models and
Well,
modifieds.
yeah, I'm not saying it's
which
not-
the
it's not
advantage
like-
is to keep as much grip and as a large contact patch all the way around the car. So there is advantage and there is research behind it,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's not banned in any other sport. It's not banned in that particular.
Well, I'm
so,
not-
or
no,
it's
I'm
not limited.
We're talking about drifting though specifically,
Right, yeah, I don't
and there's
think it would ever be.
Mustangs
Yeah,
that are
well,
not
who-
doing that in Formula
other
Drift right
sports,
now.
style is not a consideration.
But I don't think the movement would be a style flaw.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like I wonder at what point it might be considered like that's too much, because
I'm not saying they should change it. I'm
just wondering, if this
Yeah.
is something that could eventually become.
I hope the sport doesn't get to the point where it's like that.
no dictating how that stuff. No,
Yeah.
it's just that it's just such a unique style
Yeah.
that they're driving. Nobody else has done that before in drifting.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to watch how it's been evolving over the
Well, that's
years
the
they've
other.
been
Okay,
doing
we'll
it.
look at the sport.
It's like
as-
creating different
let's,
styles.
Let's look at the sport as a whole. It's for God's sakes, here in the United States, it's 15 years old. Think about the evolution of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Think about when the first LS went into a car, but it's like, oh my God, they should ban that. It's almost a tradition with these new innovative things
Yeah.
coming out, where people are like, oh my God, that's almost cheating.
Well,
and I think
it's-
that
it's a-
might be one of those moments where people are
Yeah.
now saying, wow, we haven't seen that
Exactly.
before.
Well, it's like snowboarding. Everybody hated it when it came out.
It's a challenge to a new idea, and if the new idea perseveres that and it stays, then it was an idea that works. That's pretty
Yeah.
much what I think that they're gambling on, and they keep doing is because they feel it's really working for them, and the results speak for
Right.
themselves.
Yeah, so me personally, I don't believe it's ever going to get to a point where it's going to be docked for style. Now, is it something new for, once again, traditional style drifters to see it? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little shocking, but
It's showmanship. It's
It-
interesting to watch,
yeah.
and unless they start dominating everyone else, I see no reason to try to.
or
penalize.
yeah, some people may try to jump on that train, which
Yeah.
I think it's going to be difficult to do. But once again, let's go back to Force against Vaughn. Force had no issue chasing Vaughn with this crazy weight jacking, crazy setup, and you have a Force and a 3-liter 2J. Is he running the new BC? He's running BCs, a double adjustable BCs this year. He's not running anything crazy, so I think it's just particularly what the team likes to run for setup is what they're going to run. And as you saw, it perfectly damn well that Forrest in a non-crazy jacked car can keep up with something like Vaughn and that crazy. And that's what's so cool about the sport, right? Isn't that kind of the unique thing is that you do have this Roush Yates powered Ford Mustang wheelie poppin' versus a pretty decked out stance.
Yeah.
That's 15. You know what I
The
mean?
individualism in the cars is definitely the
Yeah.
most outstanding feature of drifting. Having that style, having that setup, all those things play together very well.
Yeah,
And
it's all expression of yourself,
Right.
which that's kind of what I was going
we're-
as well, because if you manage to pretty much express the way you drive on your car to the point where you are creating your own style, then you have an even better show, Now is like who knows what's gonna be like the next
So
style.
I'll ask you this then, Paco. Do you think you think Vaughn and Chelsea are doing that to express style, or
Do you think I'm criticizing
No,
it?
no,
I'm
I'm
not.
just asking because
No,
you're
no,
saying
nice.
to
Let him go with
express
that.
style, which we were just
Yeah.
talking about. Use that weight jacking to
Yeah.
express style. But at what point do you think these guys are just doing it for advantage? So I think more of the style for Vaughn and Chelsea is literally just cosmetic.
Yeah,
But I do believe
I
that
don't
they
think
are
it's
seeing
cosmetic.
a mechanical advantage, a mechanical grip advantage by
Right,
setting
for
up
sure.
the cars that way.
I don't see how having a quarter of a tire of one tire gives you more grip, mechanical grip, than having both tires sitting down. But even Vaughn said it. It allows me to drive the way I like.
Yep.
It allows me to express the way I
Yeah.
Just
want to
by
drive the
throttle
car.
rather than.
I think
rather than
it'd
steering.
be cool to get it from them, to kind of
Yeah.
like to hear a little bit more about like what this style came from and how it's been working for them for so far.
And I was gonna go to the next comment, which everyone in the chat is now saying. But Corey and I talked about it in the judges booth. One is the new fad in Jay-Z's. I think kind of inspired by the Wardhouse guys, is to unstroke those things, and now everyone's back down to a 3-liter because everyone was boring them out. I'm using the wrong terms here. They were boring them out to like a 3.2 or
Yeah,
higher
3.2.
before 3.5. You guys, Corey, you tell me.
No, 3.2. That's what BC would be providing, a 3.2
Yeah.
liter stroked
Yeah,
2J.
but everyone wanted after the Wardhouse guys showed that it was very reliable to do 3. It seems like everyone, I know Turk is, I know Forrest is, everyone's running just 3-liter JZs right now.
You think that is because it allows you to have more wall space between cylinders?
Possibly keeping the factory design a little closer
Well,
with the block, and
I heard
it's
it
more
was
reliable.
to save the valve train.
That's kind of what I heard too, and also too. I don't know. I really don't know. I wish I don't want to say something that I just
Same.
completely know.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean,
it's,
Kyle,
We
Kyle,
already sound out of our element, but I mean, I just know that everyone's running a natural 3 this year.
yeah, Kyle Pollard is
than-
saying that they do it exactly for reliability.
There you go.
But what is unreliable about a 3.234?
Well, I
I
imagine
think it's just harder
the
on
big-
everything.
Yeah, the bigger you bore an engine, is that how? Do they stroke it or bore it?
They do both.
Okay, so I mean, if you bore the pistons, the cylinders,
You're taking material off.
you get the cylinder walls are thinner in between each other, so
And
there's
you have more
chances.
weight running on the drivetrain. You know, I imagine it adds a lot more stress
Yeah.
everywhere. But
I don't know. These
That's
engines,
and that's Tech Talk with Maximum Driftcast.
Oh,
If you guys
yeah.
need any news, well, you can reach out to us.
barely informed tech talk.
Yeah.
I mean,
To
Corey's
stroke
now
or
just
not
starting
to
get
stroke? That is the question.
oh, I always stroke.
We should
Or
do
just
a
now.
we should do Tech Talk with all of us as if they need information on car builds or car facts
Yeah.
or engine builds. We're here to facilitate any type of build needs. Just give us a shot and we'll
What do you
stroke
want to know
it.
about?
We'll stroke it and
93
poke
Ford
it and
Probe
build it and
GT?
thrill it.
Welcome to the zone, the
You wanna
Driftcast
know-
zone.
Boosting
You
and
want to
boosting.
Probe GT facts? I can tell you about them.
Tell us.
A bass flute. You had a bass flute shift knob.
Great dashboard. No, I had like one of those. I had a carbon fiber and a
of
weighted
course.
shift knob.
Saving
It
weight.
was a carbon fiber. It had carbon fiber on it, but it was also a weighted shift knob because that was a thing.
Nice,
You had
Sam.
The shift knob, you could throw shifts better.
Just banging
It's just
gears.
faster. Like,
Oh yeah.
Rep.
Sam has a very funny way of shifting. Actually, when he grabs a
Shut
shifter, no, like grabs a shifter, and then when he
As a result
puts
of
it in
my,
gear,
Punk,
and
it
then
looks
he-
like you're doing a karate move.
yeah, look at this. He puts
I
it in
know.
gear, and then he
True.
lifts his hand,
Yep.
like just kind of like to waiting to see if it's gonna pop out. Is that what it is?
Yep. There's two reasons for this. One, so my first shifter, like I'm talking about on the Ford Probe, it was like a handle shifter.
Oh,
so,
nice.
So it was like a weighted handle shifter. So I'd that was a position. It wasn't a top position. It was a handle position.
Ah.
Right.
And then two, after I spent every fucking cent to my name on my O2 WRX, and I literally was a freshman in college with $0 and just barely making my car payment, and then my transmission blew up because, as any Subaru owner can tell you, a WRX transmission in that year range was made of glass, and it cost me $4,000 in another loan, like just to fix my transmission. Like I started shifting like really fucking gingerly. It's like
Like that
"Eh,
bus-
second gear, please don't
Like the
break.
video of that bus driver was just using two
Yeah.
fingers. To,
Yeah, so I've always
Show us how you
had-
shift again, Sam. Show us how you shift again. Like, show me your little hand like that.
First,
All right,
first
all right.
gear, and then I'll kind of like do this for second
Ooh,
gear, and then like
nice.
kind of like one of these for third gear, because I'm like so afraid my transmission's gonna explode, and I notice it in the Drift Today videos, and like I do my best to try to get away from it, but I still have this like habit of gingerly shifting after this blown up transmission like ruined my life.
It's just
Like,
like,
it was an 18-year-old that couldn't have. It was dumb of me to buy an $18,000 car as a like $10 an hour 18-year-old, but you know I love cars. And then I had to spend $4,000. I had to take out another loan for $4,000 after I blew up my transmission.
Totally
it was
worth
terrible.
it. That's
Oh.
totally
Yeah.
worth it, Sam.
It was. I guess.
Hopefully you
But I
learned your
mean-
lesson. Now you're buying a
But-
Tesla.
But now it taught me how to shift like a dinker. So
you're not even gonna have to shift or even touch the steering wheel with that Tesla.
yeah.
Can't wait you to crash into a wall.
Why would you say
Oh,
that?
sure. No, did I say that aloud? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Well, anything else to say about this round of Formula Drift before we go into Instagram?
Yeah.
I think it was great. I think it was like if we didn't have the fire, that probably would have been a perfect round.
I think the fire added some excitement. I hate that
It's
that
ti-
Eddie's
yeah.
car is blown up and he has to spend time working on it. But it added excitement, and it is a show at the end of the day, and it sucks that he's going to be doing this work, and God, I wish it didn't happen to him, but I'm happy he's safe. It was an exciting moment. It made the world talk about drifting for a minute, even if it wasn't in the most positive light for a second, but whatever. It happened. We can only...
story's
we can
not
only
over
reflect. Yeah, we can only reflect that it happened, and like we said when we addressed the incident earlier in the show, it will certainly leave some waves, and yeah.
Yeah, I really think looking at the points that this round really changed a lot. You know, you come in here with expectations of seeing some of the big names on top, and now it looks like just after this round, some of them have to fight their way up. So
Number
just
one, Freddie.
just
Two,
the way. Well,
three, Peter.
hold on. So just the way that the point season has started, we're going to have to see a lot of drivers start pushing. I know it's only the first round, but still, it's just the positioning of these guys and where they're at. So, Sam, if you want to run through the point standings real quick, I think it's going to be an interesting year because some guys are going to have to fight harder than what they initially thought they were going to do.
Well, point 9, obviously, number 1 in our hearts, June Meng. He's up there at the top.
Yeah, he's number 0.
Freddie Osbo, number 1. Forrest, 2. 19 points behind Freddie. Freddie's got a pretty strong lead right now. 19 points is not huge, but it's strong. Peter, 33 points down from Freddie. James Dean, number 4. Justin Pollock, number 5. Justin, we didn't
Dude, he was a
mention
ripper. He was my
previously.
winner. He was going to be one of my top 2 dudes.
Yeah,
he was
he
killing
was.
it.
We didn't mention him much in the show, unfortunately, but he definitely drove his dick off, and he was much more in control of his car than I've ever seen him in control of his car. Forsberg and Turk right next to each other, 6th and 7th. Honadell right there in 8th. Matt Fields in 9, but he qualified high, and even though he didn't progress as far as I'm sure he wanted, he still made a showing. And then the surprising ones in the lower end of the field is we've got Helbrin is a little bit lower than we're used to seeing him at 21st. Castro 19th. Castro, of course, out with a blown motor, unfortunately. Vaughn at 16th and Gucci at 18th are kind of surprisingly low for those guys.
Well, the guys who lost on top 32, right?
And the highest
Yeah.
scoring
No, wait. No. Vaughn lost on
Vaughn
top
was
16.
16.
Sorry.
But the highest...
Odie at 13th, which is...
And
which
Dirk
is strange.
Strand's leading the Rookie of the Year.
Dirk Stratton is, yeah. Where's he right now?
He is 17th.
Yeah, so Dirk Stratton, 17th highest. That's the highest rookie right now? Which is so weird, too, because they drove so well, but they still, of course, have to fight with the titans of drifting that have been there long before him. All right,
Is it
Interesting.
that time, boys?
Grammys, let's hit him.
When do we ever have questions for us directly? How long has it been since we had one of these?
It's been a while.
It's
Been a
been,
Oh, it's been a
time. Yeah, it's been a while.
while. Not a lot of questions. Obviously, these are the commenters that talk shit to us every week.
Our,
but,
our audience
we're gonna
knows
do our
everything
best
about us. They
to
don't
do
want to know
to do
anything.
Judgment. Question. This is from Macho Man Randy Sanchez. Randy Man Macho Sanchez. I can't read right.
Yeah.
Question for everyone. If we made drifting into religion, who would make the drift pope and why? June Mang. Don't ask questions.
Yeah.
He just is. Alan Union. More jokes from Sam about small animals.
Well, no, like
Okay.
y- explain, that you can use different animals.
Yeah, you can use different animals. You can.
The same joke.
Pretty much. You can. Whatever that joke was, I forget it now. You can. I forget what joke that was, but if you want to just...
Is that Bill Cosby? No, that's Bill.
As Bill
Clinton.
Bill
Hey, we have
Cosby.
Bill Clinton here on the horn.
Hey, no, that's Bill.
What is that?
Look, I'm going to be inviting some squirrels over later. It's
I'm
fine.
going to have some pigeons and
It'll be good.
squirrels.
Don't worry about it.
I never
and then-
had sexual
And then
relations
Richard
with
Dinger,
that little
hot
bird.
dog flinger. When do you intend to have my grandmother home from bingo? Don't worry about it, Richie. She's safe. She's happy. You'll see her tomorrow morning. What else you guys want?
Max Frolic, what would it take to get you guys out to a top drift event up here in Ontario, Canada?
Buy my plane ticket and feed me
Money.
a bunch of food. That's all I care about. And beer.
Lots of beer, but definitely plane tickets.
Grandmothers. Let me see them too.
Good job.
Yeah, this is funny. Ben Tranner.
Yeah,
When is Hosdoggies going to be in an FD event?
I've been telling you, man. We need to happen.
Do you know my
Or
brother opened a hot dog cart, Sam?
No?
Yeah, he opened up a hot dog cart and he's killing it.
What's it? It's called Hosdoggies?
It's called Hosdoggies, dude.
No way.
Yeah, I'm trying to get them to come to like Irwindale, and I was going to talk to Ryan Jim about this. I was going to try to get them to come to Irwindale and do a spaghettio hot dog.
Oh, man. That would sell
And
billions.
we'll do a Driftcast dog at Irwindale.
Man.
And we'll be there signing every hot dog.
There you go. With mustard.
Yeah.
Iron Dookie. Is it pronounced GIF or GIF?
GIF.
GIF. For sure, GIF.
Lynch
All right, got the answer.
Lynch drift.
Kensington
Oh, dude.
asked about... Sorry.
All right. You go.
Kensington asked about fire safety crew. We kind of touched on that. Who organizes the crew? Is it the track? Yes. That's what we decided, right?
Yep.
Lynch drift. Since I started listening to your podcast for the first time, I've developed a twitch in my right eye. Is this normal? And how long can I expect it to last?
It's permanent.
Yep, and
Yep.
forever.
Mm-hmm. You just have to keep watching, so the left eye starts twitching too, so it just looks like you're blinking.
Beat Farmer 89. Let's talk about how unfortunate it is the most beautiful car in FD burst into flames. My mom's minivan took the podium. Hey man, squat little ugly Osbo cars deserve love too.
Question from Max Tater. It says, "Do you think that the Ferrari catching fire was caused by it hitting a Mustang?" 100%.
I mean,
Probably.
Like if it was a different car,
Yeah,
yeah.
gonna be real about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
I got a couple good ones for me. This is race course stuff. Corey, are you mad that if you were in Pro 1 this year, you'd be in the show every time?
Yep.
Nah, I'm not mad at all.
Yeah, he's
Nah.
mad. He doesn't talk about it every fucking chance he gets.
No, I just
Back in my day, we used to have
back in my day we had 68
we had 70
cars.
cars.
Well, here's the thing, race course stuff. Next round, Taylor Hall should be there, and hopefully,
Taylor Hall, that's who you guys could
the
answer
vibe-
later. Taylor Hall.
This is another
wait.
one.
Let me finish.
All right,
You know,
finish,
like
Corey.
yeah,
Wait, hold on, let's hear it.
Dean Kearney's Viper should be running too, right?
Yep.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Okay, so that means there will be plenty of room for Corey to be on top 33.
Boom. There you go. Corey can be 33 every
Yep.
time.
Well,
That's
this is
perfect.
let me go to the next question. Okay, Sam and
Alright.
Paco,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Let me yell
Cody's
at
Cody 86. Corey, do you plan on trying qualifying higher than 33rd this year?
No.
I plan on not qualifying higher than that because I'll tell you why. What's the advantage of qualifying 33rd, Paco? Tell me. Do you know the advantage?
you.
Brian, do you know the advantage? Sam, do you know the advantage qualifying 33rd?
Make an award-winning podcast. In your
You
free
can
time?
you can hang out. You can drink some beverages earlier. You can load your trailer up early. You can leave first
You
thing
can
Saturday
pack
You're
up
done
morning.
Saturday morning.
You don't have to waste your time and be there at the track until 5 a.m. on Saturday night loading up.
Doing
Think about who the
autographs.
real winner is. The real winner is the first one out the gate, bud.
Yeah. all those guys are out there in their cars. You're
Yeah,
with the crowd.
I'm already,
you're
I'm
with
already
the most
just,
important
dude, I'm already
people.
cold
Yeah.
chilling. Actually, you know what's a funny story? Me and Jared talked at one point, and Forsberg, about getting a 33rd tattoo underneath my armpit. We were
That's a
trying to
good move.
see if that was going to break the curse. If I just got a little 33 underneath my armpit, and
But-
we were all
but
going to
for-
do it.
For Pro 2, it'll be 17th, right?
Yeah, no. I just show that I'm good enough just to be right outside.
You need to
Where
put
I'm
it-
capable if I go hard, but it's just enough to be like, oh man, better luck next time. Keep pushing.
Put a 33 in your rearview mirror.
Because the other thing too, Sam, is think about the storyline, right? Think about the storyline. If I was always making it, what would be the storyline? Right? See,
that you were a
script.
good driver who was happy and successful.
no. Because then I want people to tune back in to see if I can never make it.
Yeah.
It's like an episode of Walker Texas Ranger.
You're you're playing the audience.
Yeah, just you know what, guys, we're gonna get it soon. Just wait.
And then there's
Oh, damn it!
and then there's a high kick.
Yeah, chow.
SR Chava 90, Drift Idiot, and Tofu Drift Fan. That's you and me, Sam.
Yeah.
What beard care product did you guys use for Formula Drift Long Beach?
So I'm trying to use a bunch of shit right now. I've never had my beard this long, and it turned every night when I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning and it looks like a fucking sea captain beard. Like it is tangly and it is bushy. There's some like oil stuff in a syringe that I used. That was like $15. I'm not going to use again. I forget what it's called. There's like I think Amish beard balm or something that I saw highly rated on Amazon. I use that a little bit, which kind of like keeps it down. And then in my hair, I often use Murray's, which you can find in the ethnic hair care product aisle of Walgreens. I started to put a little bit of that in my beard, and that's about the only way to keep it down right now. I found, which
Nice.
sucks, but yeah, that's all I use, man.
That's awesome.
What do you use, Corey?
Sandalwood oil.
Sandalwood oil. Is that why I always
Yeah.
smell like a goddamn hippie?
Mm-hmm. I smell like a vegan, without the side effects.
Can you promise not to bring that into our hotel room this year? Also, no, Corey, can we just say right now, no cologne bottles, Paco, in the hotel room? Okay?
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to smell good. I don't know why you guys are
Just take
like.
a shower.
I do take a shower.
I know you do, but you don't need a cologne afterwards, Paco.
Well, I mean, maybe
don't
not.
need to
For,
impress
maybe not for
anyone.
Formula Drift. Well, I mean, maybe I do want to impress some mommies.
You smell fine, Paco. Don't worry about cologne.
All right. Let's
Oh, you can see Bucket on the
Um,
table behind you. That's nice.
So this is more so. You guys remember I asked that actually under pressure development asked the question if they should draw a penis on my downpipe,
Uh-oh.
and I just got the results. So let's see.
The results are in.
And we had a unanimous decision for yes for whatever reason, but let's see. So this is what's happening right now.
Okay.
They're doing some welding. Okay, it's kind of hard to see what's going on.
Yeah,
Okay, hold on. Let's see what the final outcome is.
I hope you get your car rejected.
This is my new downpipe.
Hey, the
Hey.
bass flute.
We officially got a bass
bass flute
flute
downpipe.
tattoo on the boss.
They could sell that and make it a Boss
Um,
special edition bass loop downpipe.
Yeah,
So
no,
we
you
do
need-
have a bass flute downpipe now. I'm super excited from
You need to get a matching
development.
tattoo now.
But I also
Corey.
want to thank the Driftcast fans because they were the ones that really, I want them to be part of this project now that it's going forward with the guys at PSI and Under
Said
Pressure
yes.
Development. And so now we've tattooed it and we branded it forever as the bass flute downpipe.
That's just lovely. I can't wait till you got to pull an engine or something and your head sponsors. there.
Probably
Your
bring
pit.
the bass flute to the track
Here,
itself.
I'll show them one more
What
time.
if they ask you to keep the hood closed?
No, it's all right. It's just the bass flute downpipe. It's an instrument.
It's a downpipe. You can't see that thing.
No, you can't see it.
It's like right
just
up front.
there. Yeah, it's just like it's a nice piece of titanium, Sam. It's going to be the best downpipe. It's the Peter Piper.
The Peter Pipe. I like that.
Yeah.
Did Danny ever actually use his proximity gauge tool on the Miata, Danny George, at any event?
I don't
So
know.
I remember seeing some.
It was just more at Willow. He was running that at Willow. But,
Okay.
But mine's an instrument. I can show
Yeah.
everybody the bass flute now.
Okay.
It should be okay.
You
But
just love the
so
bass
that's breaking news, guys. I just got that in right now.
Awesome.
So thank you guys for contributing and very insightful information because now we got the baddest downpipe in the industry.
Well, guys,
That's right.
it's been quite nice not having
Yeah.
another guest on here to cloud up our airspace. We could just
Maybe-
talk about drifting this whole time, and God knows we needed to
Yeah.
because there's so much to talk about.
Maybe we should never have stinky guests
Yeah,
ever.
no more guests again. But we
There's cats everywhere.
very good. But we hope to have a very unique and special guest next week. We shall see. Otherwise, we'll also have a boring, stinky guest like usual. And anything else? Well, we definitely want to
Yeah,
thank
well,
again. We thanked him earlier on in the show. AAM primarily is the number one reason we can thank AAM Intakes. That is to thank the for the halftime show happening, and it also wouldn't happen without Nexon Tire and Motegi Racing. So thank you guys for making
And
the
also,
halftime show happen.
we got to thank Formula Drift for allowing our dum dums to be on there to be a part of such a cool deal. So
Yep.
thank you, Drift Dads, for that.
Dads.
Yep.
And then also, Paco, we're forgetting one. What about the pay?
The Patreon. Is that the new
Patreon.
the patron rap that you've been writing, Corey?
Yep.
All right. You wanna fire it up?
Are we firing up or firing down? No. I don't know where we're going with this.
It's the patron.
Hey, I want to thank my Patreons. This is why you got it going on.
Yeah.
Give us your money once a week. Wouldn't you know that you're on fleek? You buy Paco all his hentai porn. You buy Corey all of his two
Elote
disease parts.
corn.
Elote corn.
You buy me exotic cats. That's true. That's where it's at.
Forgot the crossing your arms, fam.
Word to your mother.
Why is someone? Everyone's saying what is race service? Race service.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
God,
All
and
right, can we
Sam,
finally-
get a free plug, Sam?
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. Race service is a automotive media garage / production space / agency / whatever you want to call it. We had a launch party recently. We are doing all of the cool. So you remember the 4586? You guys have heard of the Ferrari car, right?
I've seen it on the Google.
So that is the product of the founding members of Race Service, as well as almost every other Turk-related and many of the other non-Turk and Forsberg-related videos you have seen on the internet show up in the past few years. People that originally pulled me out of the riffraff many years ago have started Race Service, and it's been a company that we've all been kind of contributing to for the past few months. But now it is live and it is official, and it is where we're going to be doing lots of cool projects, lots of cool builds. The current Gum Out show, Blackout Garage, is going on right there. Blackout being Black Magic / Gum Out. So that's all about Forsberg and Turks.
Oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
I thought
all
that's where
about
you guys just
Forsberg
get
and Turks
belligerently
exploits.
drunk and try working on cars.
See who's gonna get more.
Blackout
Oh,
Garage, yeah.
But we've got a bunch of builds coming up, and you might notice that a lot of this stuff is similar and shared with Donut Media. A lot of the dudes that founded Donut Media are now working at
We also got
RS.
invited to do some stuff with RS too, Sam. Do you know that? Maybe you didn't, but now you do.
What, you did? They asked you to do stuff?
Yeah, they asked us if me and Paco want to do the camera stuff and replace you.
That's fine. I'm tired.
Yeah. So yep, that's it.
Cool. But yeah, there's going to be tons of cool shit. Expect to see a lot of the cool content that you used to watch on Donut Media now being at Race Service. And we're very excited to keep bringing you the original automotive content, such as Ferrari cars drifting wild-ass roads, build shows, just unique, awesome things being created with our damn hands that no one can say they made but us. So we're just very pumped about that. And
There's a lot of
I've been dumping every hour of my my youth into there, and I'll be dead soon. So
nice.
see you guys never, because once I die, I'm dead. I'm gone forever. There's no heaven. And
rest in peace, Samuel.
Life is fleeting, and all of us will die alone and turn into nothing.
Nice.
But we really appreciate all of you guys enjoying our drift program.
And we'll see you next week, and also we'll see you at Florida.
Yeah, which are coming up really fast. We're just booking our Orlando stuff. Orlando's coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks after that, we have Atlanta, and then we're booking our stuff. But boy, oh boy, we are going to be out there. We can't wait for it. And it's amazing. And a special guest next week. Fingers crossed. God, I hope. Just say yes.
Let's see if the audience can send us good vibes.
Vibe with us, audience.
Vibe.
Thank you, you guys. We wouldn't be here without any of you. So thanks for watching with us on this show, this episode this long, and
we
Corey.
will.
Anything else? That's it.
Let's just end at the same time saying we'll see you next week. 1,
3,
2, 1. And we will see you next week, everybody.
Adios.
The end.
Bye, guys.
Yep. Wow. We made it. Wow. We survived.